Chapter 181. The most fundamental reason was that Wang Feng had the meteoric tear, which could speed up the absorption of soul power. Even during normal times, his body would automatically increase his soul power, although the effect was very slow. It would take a long time before it could be seen. Hence, it was impossible for everyone to achieve this. Over these 2 months, Wang Feng would still go to the periphery of the Great Star Do Forest. He would go to other soul-hunting forests to fight and search for the 3 little fellows. He would return to the academy 2 or 3 times a week. He would also continue to practice the mysterious underworld spike. There were at least 10,000 mysterious underworld spikes on the mysterious underworld armor. It would take a lot of time to control all of them. The interesting thing was that Wang Feng realized that he could form all kinds of weapons if he controlled the mysterious underworld spike. However, this required more precise training. For example, he could combine hundreds of mysterious underworld spikes to form a short spear, long sword, dagger, etc. After combining them, their strength would also increase. Their attack would still be corrosive, and they would be extremely heavy. Most importantly, they would look extremely cool and pretentious. Wang Feng was never tired of this. However, doing this required an enormous amount of spiritual power and exquisite control over soul power. Even with Wang Feng's current abilities, he could barely combine more than 100 mysterious underworld spikes into a single dagger, and he even had to fuse them together to scatter them. He estimated that he would need 1 or 2 years to control more mysterious underworld spike. The stronger he became, the more obvious the changes would be. It was impossible to make the mysterious underworld armor change so much in such a short period of time. One night, Wang Feng didn't come back today. Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu were lying on the bed in the dormitory. The 2 of them were wearing light clothes and they seemed to be talking about something. Brother Feng is used to going out to train. He was like this when he was in the nodding academy. Xiao Wu nodded and pulled the blanket away slightly. Rongrong, are you thinking about him again? Hee, your skin is so good. Let me touch it. Aya. Ning Rongrong quickly grabbed Xiao Wu's hand and touched her leg. Who's thinking about him? I'm just afraid that our martial soul fusion skill will be rusty. Rongrong, do you want that place to become bigger? Tell me, are you envious of Zhuqing? Xiao Wu hurriedly slapped away Ning Rongrong's hand that was carelessly touching her body and chuckled. The greatest effect of Ning Rongrong and Wang Feng's fusion skill was to turn Ning Rongrong into plus, making her look like a 20-year-old. Naturally, it was also big. This was Ning Rongrong's favorite part. I didn't. Ning Rongrong refused to admit it. I heard that Oscar and Wang Feng's martial soul fusion skill is the flaming sausage. Do you remember? Last time, they tried it once. The fried chicken with roasted sausages is delicious. It's simply a peerless delicacy. Not only that, it can also give us a double amplification effect of the roasted sausages, as well as a super strong flame effect. It can also stimulate the potential in our body, allowing us to achieve a temporary burst of strength. Hearing Ning Rongrong's words, Xiao Wu suddenly felt a little hungry. The flaming sausage was Wang Feng and Oscar's martial soul fusion skill. After using it, the roasted sausages made seemed to be a peerless delicacy. After eating one could feel the refreshing and spicy feeling that made one's taste buds explode. One could make everyone sweat profusely, even Dean Flender and the others. The effect was also equally abnormal. The flaming sausage could allow a soul warrior's strength to erupt. They had a super strong self-recovery ability. Their eyes were like fire, and they would not feel pain. They would be in a state of extreme excitement. I don't care about strength or not, but the flaming sausage is really delicious. Xiao Wu couldn't help but swallow her saliva. In the past 2 months, Wang Feng had gradually tried to use a martial soul fusion skill with the others. Needless to say, the one with Oscar was the most fun. As for the others, he hadn't tried it yet. He estimated that it would take other forms. However, I feel that Brother Feng and Zhu Qing's fusion skill is really cool. Xiao Wu giggled. That day with the Imperial battle team, I felt that Zhu Qing was like a Valkyrie descending to the mortal world. Compared to you, a fairy descending to the mortal world, it's a completely different experience. Ning Rongrong weakly nodded. Xiao Wu, do you think that all men like to be big there? Ning Rongrong touched her skin that was envied by Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing. Her skin was the best among the three girls. Compared to Zhu Zhuqing's figure, Xiao Wu's legs. This was her specialty. Of course. Didn't you see that damn fatty? When he went out, the first thing he looked at was those girls' breasts. Xiao Wu said happily, but my brother is different. Then help me rub it. I heard that it will become bigger if you rub it. Or I'll rub it for you too. Ning Rongrong whispered. I don't want to. Why would it become so big? Didn't you hear Zhu Qing complain to us a while ago? She said it's too big and it's too troublesome to train? Xiao Wu hurriedly covered her face with the blanket. If you want to rub it, you should ask your future husband to rub it for you. I don't want you to rub it for me. If you don't rub it for me, are you going to rub it for Tang San? Ning Rongrong chuckled. Rongrong, you're dead. Tang San is my brother. Xiao Wu immediately blushed, from her neck to her forehead. However, she quickly retorted, then you should ask Brother Feng to rub it for you too. The two of them had sacrificed 800 to kill one's enemy. Ning Rongrong's face also turned red. Her fair and delicate skin immediately seemed to be filled with blood, and her head seemed to be steaming. You damn Xiao Wu. I hate you. What nonsense are you talking about? I, Ning Rongrong, would let those stinky men rub it for me. Speaking of which, I envy you. You didn't see how Tang San did for you in the Great Star Do Forest last time. It's obvious how important you are to him. I don't know when I'll meet a boy like him. Perhaps all girls would yearn for a boy who would sacrifice himself for them. You'll meet him sooner or later. Xiao Wu blushed and said, I'm Brother Feng's family. Of course he would do that. I would do the same if it were me. I believe Brother Feng would do the same. You're so beautiful and have so many people chasing after you. There must be a lot of boys like him. It's just that you haven't noticed. It's different. I'm the little princess of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. A lot of people chase after me. My beauty is only part of it. It's mostly because of my identity. Ning Rongrong shook her head. She knew what she was thinking. But we're still young. There are many feelings that we can't explain clearly. Zhu Qing is the same. She doesn't talk much, but I can feel that she's under a lot of pressure. This pressure makes her not want to involve others. Even if the 7 of us are close, she still wants us to know about her. Only she is willing to tell us. Xiao Wu nodded. She could feel it too. In the dormitory, 2 girls whispered to each other. Let's sleep. Brother Feng said that Brother Feng will be back tomorrow. Brother Feng also made a few good things for us. After all, we're leaving tomorrow. Really? That's great. Oh, I'm just curious about what Tang San will make. Nothing else. End of chapter. Chapter 182. 50 days of soul power training passed by in the blink of an eye. Wang Feng returned to the academy from outside. His soul power was not far from rank 35. In fact, his soul power cultivation speed was several times faster than the 7 people in the academy combined. However, the soul beasts in the Great Star Do Forest are indeed very strong. There were a few times when I had to use 5th gear to barely win. 50 days didn't change Wang Feng much, but he was a little emotional. The Great Star Do Forest was too big, and there were countless soul beasts in it. Some of the strong 1,000-year soul beasts were troublesome for Wang Feng. He didn't want to kill soul beasts, so he only defeated them. He needed to control them in battle. However, it was also because of this that many soul beasts in the Great Star Do Forest were familiar with such a special soul master. Some brave and battle-hungry soul beasts even came to challenge Wang Feng. the second day back at the academy. It was a sunny day, and everyone had packed their luggage. They looked at the Shrek Academy with nostalgia. They had been here for half a year, and they had some feelings for it. This place was very remote, but it was very special. Wang Feng looked at the Shrek Academy silently. He didn't spend much time in the academy over the past half a year, and sometimes he would go back to the Holy Soul Village to take a look. However, there were many memories in this place. The rest of them were also a little emotional. Flender, Zhao Wuji, and a few other teachers couldn't help but feel a little sour. Let's go to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. In the end, Flender waved his hand and took down the school's plaque, taking it with him. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy was naturally in the Heaven Do Imperial City. The Heaven Do Imperial City was located in the northeast of the empire. It was the center of power in the Heaven Do Empire, and one of the two largest cities in the entire continent. There were more than 1 million soldiers in the city, and it was very powerful. Wang Feng couldn't help but think of a figure when he thought of the Heaven Do Imperial City. Qian Renxue should be in the Heaven Do Imperial City, right? She should be the crown prince of the Heaven Do Empire, Shueqinghe. Wang Fengxin couldn't help but be cautious. For the past few months, he had not met this Qian Renxue in the great arena of souls in Soto City. It was as if he had disappeared. If they went to Heaven Do Imperial City now, it was likely that they would run into each other. In order to reach the Heaven Do Imperial City, one would have to pass through the entire Sylvis Kingdom, which was north of the Balak Kingdom. Then, one would have to head east to reach the Heaven Do Imperial City. They had to travel more than 2,000 kilometers. 2,000 kilometers was considered very long. It was equivalent to a round trip from Beijing to Shanghai in Lin Fan's previous life. If it was a plane, it could be done in a day. Unfortunately, there were no planes here, so they could only walk. Fortunately, they were all soul masters, so it wouldn't take more than a few days. All right, child. From now on, we have to travel at full speed. After Flender left the Shrek Academy, he seemed to be in high spirit. It was obvious that he had thought things through in the past 2 months and had let go of his worries. Next, you have to keep up with my speed. If you fall behind, I won't care. With that, Flender took the lead and rushed out. He was an agility system soul master, so his soul power was abundant. Even the other teachers might not be able to keep up with him. This was especially true for Tang Dou's food-type soul master, Xiao Xan. He had to rely on Zhao Wuji's soul power to carry him. Behind him, Xiao Xian couldn't help but grumble. He had no choice but to use his soul power to keep up. Wang Feng, you have to carry me. I can't keep up. Ning Rongrong panted as she spoke from behind. As support-type soul masters, it was easy for Oscar and Ning Rongrong to fall behind. Oscar was carried by Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun. Ning Rongrong originally wanted Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu to carry them, but when she saw Wang Feng's carefree appearance, she couldn't help but speak up. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. I won't carry them, Wang Feng said. Everyone. Ning Rongrong was angry. She snorted. What do you mean men and women shouldn't touch each other? That night I even kissed. Halfway through her sentence, Ning Rongrong quickly came back to her senses. She covered her mouth and looked at the other 6 people looking at her. She suddenly became nervous. Kiss what? Wang Feng stared at Ning Rongrong. That night? Could it be that everyone was drunk that night? He remembered that night when Wang Feng fell asleep. He even had a dream. He dreamed of his previous life, and then he was licked by a puppy. Could it be that Ning Rongrong took advantage of me? That night, I saw with my own eyes that you were hugging a girl. It was very intimate. Why didn't you say that men and women shouldn't touch each other? Ning Rongrong rolled her eyes and quickly said righteously. Wang Feng's face was black with question marks. When did I hug a girl? I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. Don't accuse me. Wang Feng glared at Ning Rongrong and coughed a few times. However, Wang Feng's words made it more obvious that he was trying to cover something up. You. Ning Rongrong was stunned. She looked at Wang Feng and said angrily, "Did you really do that? Who was that girl?" She just wanted to change the topic. Who would have thought? Wang Feng. Big brother Feng, when did this happen? Xiao Wu asked in surprise. What kind of girl was she? Yeah, I've never seen her before. Tang San was also puzzled. Zhu Zhuqing also looked at Wang Feng with a puzzled expression. There was a hidden sharpness in her eyes. TSK, you're hiding it well. Ma Hongjun chuckled. You're indeed the monster captain. You managed to hook up with her without anyone noticing. Wang Feng's face darkened. He said grumpily, "Look at me. If I had to hug someone, it would be a girl hugging me. Who am I, Wang Feng? Humph, I'm not going to talk nonsense with you." As he spoke, Wang Feng sped up. He overtook the 7 of them and followed behind Flender. Bastard! Wang Feng must have had someone outside. Ning Rongrong said angrily. Everyone was speechless. What did it have to do with them? Don't worry. Big brother Feng has high standards. If he doesn't like you, why would he like someone else? Xiao Wu quickly comforted Ning Rongrong. As she spoke, she sped up with Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong felt as if she had been shot in the heart by an arrow. Xiao Wu, speak more if you can, Zhu Zhuqing said in a low voice. After that, she also sped up. Ning Rongrong. A few hours later. The 7 of them finally couldn't hold on any longer. At this time, Flender also stopped and smiled. However, the smile on his face immediately froze. You brat, how can you still keep up? Flender looked at Wang Feng in disbelief. End of chapter. Chapter 183. I can last longer. Wang Feng chuckled. Teacher, could it be that you can't do it anymore? Well, when a man reaches middle age, generally speaking. Flender immediately glared at Wang Feng. Lin Feng, your soul power should be somewhat special, right? Master C, who had been led by Flender, said, In my opinion, although your soul power is only at rank 34, it's more durable than a normal rank 30 soul power. Master is indeed a master. Wang Feng nodded slightly. His soul power had been compressed and stored. It seemed to be only at rank 34, but it was super durable. Is there such a strange thing? Zhao Wuji couldn't help but say, could it be a special cultivation method? What kind of cultivation method can cultivate such a special soul power? Master shook his head. He had never heard of such a method before. It's not a method. It's just an example. After thinking for a moment, Wang Feng took out a piece of foam and said, Look, the size of this foam is equivalent to the rank 30 soul power of an ordinary soul master. Flender and the others nodded. Then, Wang Feng took out a bottle of water and poured it into the square foam. The foam absorbed the water and didn't expand, but it became heavier. This is probably my soul power. Seeing this, Flender and the others instantly understood. You absorbed more soul power? Master was surprised. Is it because of your physique? Wang Feng nodded. It's because of my physique. I found that my soul power can absorb more and compress it. The body of an ordinary soul master can't withstand this kind of soul power compression. But my body is different from ordinary people. I can undergo more training. This is also the reason why I use different methods to speed up my soul power cultivation. Suddenly, the master was enlightened. He was curious. Why did Wang Feng know the cultivation method of training and running at the same time, but his soul power rank wasn't much higher than the others? He didn't expect it to be like this. Wang Feng didn't mention the essence of the meteoric tear, but it was indeed a part of the reason. The meteoric tear was the key to compressing and purifying soul power. I see. Indeed, soul power is closely related to a soul master's body. Master felt that Wang Feng was right. It was also related to his theory. This could also explain why Lin Feng's physical fitness had far exceeded that of a soul master of the same kind. To Wang Feng, this was not a secret. As long as he fought, it would be obvious. At this moment, it was even more obvious that he was in a hurry. Furthermore, he had told the Grandmaster and the teachers that as long as he didn't reveal the secret of the meteoric tear, it was only a matter of soul power compression and purification. Furthermore, he hadn't revealed the amount of soul power he had compressed and purified, as well as the degree of comparison. In addition, the Grandmaster and the others would not tell others about these secrets. You're so young, yet you're so persistent. When you're old, you'll regret it. Flender snorted coldly. He naturally heard it clearly too. It was just that he was still brooding over Wang Feng's words earlier, thinking about how he, Flender, did not seem to have a wife until now. No matter how long he could last, he would not be able to bring out his full potential. It was really hard for him to refute. After Tang San and the others left, they rested for a while and continued their journey. It had to be said that Soul Masters were very fast. He had traveled at least 500 miles in one day. It would take at most 5 days to reach Heaven Do Imperial City. The next day, they entered the capital of Silvas. They planned to stay for a while and replenish their food and water. Flender even generously took them to a hotel in the capital and had a good meal. After eating, at the request of the Grandmaster, they naturally had to go to the Great Soul Fighting Arena of Silvas for a team battle since they hadn't had an official team battle for 2 months. Silvas City was the capital of the Kingdom of Silvas. It was bigger than Soto City, so the Great Soul Fighting Arena was naturally more outstanding. I'm sorry, everyone. We don't have a Golden Battle Soul team of the same level as you in our city. The person in charge of the Great Soul Fighting Arena regretfully told Shrek's 7 monsters this news. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. He remembered that there was a demon god team in Silvas City, which was Tang San's opponent. And this demon god team was a small turning point for Shrek's 7 monsters. That was killing. Killing in the truest sense. Before this, other than Tang San, the rest of them were all children in their teens, and none of them had killed anyone before. Is there no other way? The Grandmaster asked. Yes, there is. The only way is to challenge someone of a higher level. The person in charge thought for a while and said, It's very dangerous to challenge someone of a higher level. Because you are in the 30s, the Silver Battle Soul team is in the 40s. The Golden Battle Soul team of Shrek's 7 monsters was indeed a little special. They had won too many matches in a row, so naturally, they had accumulated more points. There was no Golden Battle Soul team of the same level. Sure. The Grandmaster suddenly said, By the way, do you have a particularly brutal battle team here? The kind that will definitely cause severe injuries and break limbs when they attack? Hearing this, everyone except Wang Fengxin was a little confused. Flender looked at the Grandmaster in surprise. Xiao Geng Yu, the Grandmaster waved his hand to stop Flender's persuasion. The person in charge was also a little surprised by the Grandmaster's request, but he didn't hesitate and said in a low voice, This kind of battle team. We have 2 of them here. One of them is the Demon God Battle Team. I believe all of you can feel it from the name. This battle team, everyone is extremely ferocious. In every battle, they will cause great damage to their opponent. Breaking an arm or a leg is considered a light punishment. The Silver Battle Soul team of level 40 is one of the most brutal battle teams in our arena. One of them. Wang Fengxin was surprised. In addition to the Demon Battle Team, the other team is the God-Slaying Battle Team, which is at level 49. The captains of these 2 teams are brothers. They have formed different battle teams. The God-Slaying Battle Team is stronger than the Demon Battle Team. They are almost at the level of Golden Battle Soul. When they attack, they are even more terrifying. They will definitely kill. The person in charge lowered his voice. Hearing this, the 7 members of Shrek's 7 monsters felt a chill down their spines. Let's choose this Demon Battle Team, The Grandmaster thought for a while and said, "Just arrange them for Shrek's 7 monsters." The person in charge was stunned. He looked at Tang San and the others hesitantly and quickly went to arrange it. "Xiao Gang, this is too dangerous," Flenders said in a low voice. Tang San and the others also looked at the Grandmaster with a puzzled expression. Although the Grandmaster was very strict with them, everyone could feel that the Grandmaster cared for them. Why would he arrange such a battle team for them? Dangerous. The Grandmaster shook his head and said calmly, "If they don't experience this kind of danger now, they won't have the chance in the future. Do you still remember when you and I were training? They have to go through this stage, the sooner the better. Otherwise, when the time comes, they won't be able to do it. By then, it will be too late to save them." Flender sighed and didn't say anything in the end. The other teachers were also experienced. Naturally, they knew what the Grandmaster meant. "Grandmaster, is Wang Feng going to fight with us too?" Ning Rongrong asked. "This demon battle team is so brutal. What if an accident happens?" Facing such a battle team, Ning Rongrong felt insecure. If Wang Feng were to fight, she would feel much better. End of chapter. Chapter 184. Master shook his head and said, "Lin Feng has other arrangements. Don't worry, just listen to Xiao San. Didn't Xiao San make one for each of you? Just use it against the demon god battle team." Master's purpose was to let Shrek's 7 monsters kill people. That was why Master allowed them to use the Zhuge Divine crossbow made by Tang San. Wang Feng knew this, so he didn't plan to fight. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. "Alright, Mu Bai, bring them to prepare first. I have something to talk to Lin Feng alone." The Grandmaster waved at the crowd. Soon, only the Grandmaster and Wang Feng were left. "Lin Feng, how's your royal battle team against the God Slayer?" Master asked Wang Feng. Of course, Master wouldn't let Wang Feng go. Wang Feng scratched his head. He had experienced killing people when he was 6 years old. When the second form of the Red Lotus was activated, it directly burned the Soul Master, who was over rank 40, into ashes. He didn't feel anything because it wasn't bloody at all. In the next 6 years, he didn't really kill people, but he saw too many scenes of people dying. There were Soul Masters dying almost every day in the Soul Hunting Forest, and the miserable scene was extremely terrifying. Many soul beasts were ferocious and directly ate the internal organs of those soul beasts. Wang Feng had already passed the stage where he would vomit when he saw a dead person. Therefore, even if Wang Feng hadn't really killed anyone, his mental fortitude was already very strong. However, Wang Feng naturally wouldn't reject Master's request. "No problem. My royal battle team also has a silver warrior soul," Wang Feng said. "Royal battle team 9-1. With this special identity and a one-man team, he had been to Soto City a few times in the past 2 months and participated in a few soul duels. As long as he maintained his winning streak, even if he went once or twice a week, it would be enough. Speaking of reputation, his royal battle team was only slightly inferior to Shrek's 7 monsters. They were also the most mysterious. Good. Then be careful." Master looked at Wang Feng with admiration. "Both teams are at rank 49. Let me see how strong you are." Master had estimated Wang Feng's strength, but he didn't know the details, but Master was very assured. "Master, you might not be able to see it." Wang Feng grinned. "I'm afraid my battle time will be very short." Hearing this, the Master looked at him with even more astonishment. Wang Feng smiled without saying anything. Before long, Sylva's Great Soul Arena, the Central Soul Dueling Area. Today, the Central Soul Dueling Area was exceptionally lively because there would be 2 extremely special team battles. The first match was the infamous Demon God battle team being challenged by a team from Shrek's 7 monsters. Challenging someone of a higher level was a very fresh and exciting thing. In addition, the Demon God battle team was really famous. Although the Demon God battle team was extremely ferocious and many battle teams were unwilling to fight with them, in reality, the audience wanted to see them fight even more. The reason was very simple. It was because the battles of the Demon God battle team could stimulate the most primitive desire of humans to vent. The Great Soul Arena itself was a place for many spectators to vent their frustrations. They were willing to watch wonderful battles, but they also wanted to see bloody battles. The second round was even more interesting. The God Slayer battle team, known as the #1 battle team in Sylvis, would make a rare move against a mysterious royal battle team. Although there was some distance between the Sylvia Kingdom and the Balak Kingdom, some spectators in the Great Soul Arena were also from the Balak Kingdom. Whether it was the Shrek's 7 monsters or the royal battle team, they all knew some of them. The Shrek's 7 monsters is the trump card battle team from the Balak Kingdom Soto City. They are the only Gold Soul battle team at level 30. As for the royal battle team, it's even more interesting. He registered 7 people in this battle team, but only one person appears every time. It's also known as a one-man battle team. This person is called 9 Open. He's very mysterious. So far, his martial soul, soul ring, age, appearance, and origin are all unknown. Cheers sounded in the central soul dueling area. But there were already many people talking about it, but their voices were very soft. There were not many who really knew the specific combat strength of the 2 battle teams. It was just that no one believed their reputation. On the big screen in the betting area, the odds of the 4 battle teams were displayed. Obviously, this royal battle team had the highest odds. The Shrek's 7 monsters were still okay, 117. This royal battle team, directly 130. What kind of concept was this? If you bet on the royal battle team for 1 gold coin and 1, you can get 30 coins. A whole 30 times. On the Shrek's 7 monsters side, there were at least a few, plus Flender and a few others. But no one bought the royal battle team at all, not one. There wasn't even a single speculator. What kind of joke was this? A one-man battle team? Whoever bought it was an idiot. Even if the Great Soul Arena forcibly controlled the odds later, no one bought it. Only one person. I say, little gang, you want to buy this royal battle team? Flender asked curiously, could it be that you know the details of this royal battle team? Only the Master and Wang Feng knew that the royal battle team was already 9 Open. Even the other 6 people who registered didn't know the specific identity of 9 Open. They only received 10 gold coins in Soto City, just in name. They couldn't find out even if they wanted to. I know a thing or two. The Master smiled and bet all his private money on the royal battle team. TSK, you don't even believe in your own disciple? Flender couldn't help but laugh. You don't bet on our Shrek's 7 monsters, but bet on the royal battle team? I have been in Soto City for 2 months. I've been to Soto City and heard a little about this one-man team. To be honest, I suspect that it's a gimmick created by the Great Arena of Souls in Soto City. They specialize in doing some dirty tricks to attract attention. Flender thought so, let alone others. Indeed, this one-man battle team, most people only thought it was a gimmick. The Master laughed a few times, which was rare. If he hadn't secretly hired 6 ordinary Soul Masters for Lin Feng and registered the team name, maybe he would have thought it was a gimmick. You will know when the time comes. The Master handed 5,000 gold soul coins to the person in charge. Pretending to be mysterious. After the 2 bought the bets, they came to the spectator stand. At this time, in the Great Soul Arena below, there was a burst of wild cheers, and almost everyone's eyes seemed to have a trace of blood. This was caused by excessive excitement. Wang Feng also looked at the 2 battle teams below, and they lined up like a long snake. Following which, Wang Feng saw Tang San's team take out the prepared Zhuge Divine crossbows from their soul tools and shoot towards the Demon God battle team. It ended very quickly. The members of the Demon God battle team were all assault-type soul masters. The Zhuge divine crossbows were equally powerful to them. Even if they were prepared, they might not be able to block the 16 consecutive shots of the Zhuge divine crossbows. They just needed to control the accuracy. The process was not thrilling, and the 7 members of the Demon God battle team were immediately pierced by the Zhuge divine crossbows. After all, their physical qualities were not as good as Wang Feng's. Dong dong dong. The 7 of them fell to the ground one by one, and their blood dyed the ground red. When Shrek's 7 monsters saw this scene, except for Tang San who was slightly better, the rest almost vomited on the spot. On the spectator stand, Wang Feng shrugged his shoulders. It's my turn now, I can try out the mysterious underworld spike's large-scale accurate attack. I wonder if the God battle team can withstand it. There will be more at night. End of chapter. Chapter 185. In the Great Soul Fighting Arena. It was still the main soul fighting arena. After Shrek and the others returned to the audience area, their faces were very pale, and there were water stains at the corners of their mouths. Their masks had been taken off, and it was obvious that they had just vomited. Teacher, is this why you asked us to challenge the Demon God battle team? Tang San's face was also a little pale. Although he had killed people in his previous life, this was the first time he had really killed people in this life. Moreover, he had killed 5 people at once, and each of them had died in an extremely miserable state. Their bodies were penetrated by the crossbow arrows, and the blood that directly spurted out was like a fountain. Tang San was still all right. The rest, especially the girls, especially Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, had no strength to vomit at all. Ning Rongrong was a rich young lady. In the sect, let alone killing people, even getting injured was probably rare. How could she have seen such a scene? Zhu Zhuqing was not much better. Yes, the master said lightly, in the future you will face dangers in addition to soul beasts. Soul masters are the most dangerous group. Once you are not careful, you won't even know how you died. Killing is naturally something you will face sooner or later. You can hunt soul beasts without fear because soul beasts are enemies in your heart, and you can kill them at will. But our biggest enemy is not soul beasts, but humans. The master seemed to have thought of something and shook his head. Hearing this, Tang San was inexplicably shocked. Yes, our biggest enemy is soul masters, isn't it? How was I hunted down in the past? Wasn't it because I was chased down by the Tang sect and fell off the cliff? Facing enemies, especially these vicious people, you'd better not have the slightest mercy. Kill them, just kill them. Vomit, you will get used to it. Vomiting now is better than not being able to do it when you are in danger. The master handed each of them a cup of warm water and continued, next, watch one more match, and then we will go back to the hotel to rest. The 7 of them took the warm water and drank it in one gulp. Watch one more match? What match? Ning Rongrong muttered. I want to go back to the hotel to rest now. Everyone was curious. A special team battle. Perhaps, after watching this, you won't have any burdens in your hearts anymore. Grandmaster pointed downwards. At this time, in the Great Soul Arena below, the host had been switched over. The next battle will be the highlight of our great arena of souls today. These 2 teams could be said to be very special. The first team is the trump card team of Sylvis, the god-slaying team that is feared by everyone. They were all agility-type soul masters, and every one of them was a hunter of the soul dueling arena. As long as you are targeted by the 7 of them, no matter which team you are in, no one will be able to survive. As for the other battle team, they came from the faraway Soto City. It was jokingly called a one-man battle squad, because there was only one person in this team. It was the Royal Squadron, and this mysterious soul master was called Jiu Ikai. Rumor has it that this name means that any battle team only has a 10% chance of winning against him. Boom boom. As the host's words fell, two dazzling light-gathering soul tools in midair hit the two sides that slowly walked up to the great soul arena from the inner door below. For a moment, the arena was boiling again. The battle just now had already made them erupt in silence, and now it had reached a new height. Almost the entire arena was shouting and screaming excitedly. This battle, in terms of numbers, was too dramatic. They had never seen it before. The 7 members of the God-slaying team, both men and women, were all around 40 years old. Agility-type soul masters were good at outbursts. If it was 1 or 2 of them, it would be difficult for them to display their strength in the great soul arena, and they would be restrained. But if there were 7 of them, it would be a nightmare for the enemy. God-slaying team? Isn't it the other more ferocious team that the supervisor mentioned just now? Dai Mubai calmed down and said in surprise, "The Royal Squadron, Soto City, I seem to have heard of it. I heard that it was a gimmick team specially created by the Great Soul Arena in Soto City. I didn't expect it to come to Sylvis too?" "I've heard of it too." Ma Hongjun chewed on a piece of candy in his mouth to ease the nausea. "This team is very strange. They registered 7 people, but only 1 of them goes on stage. They only participated in more than 10 battles in Soto City. It's very little, but they won every battle. Moreover, this Joikai has never revealed his martial soul ring, and at most occasionally use his soul power." Ma Hongjun seemed to have a wide range of information. These were all rumors that he heard from those young ladies when he went to buy tickets. These were the most popular rumors in those brothels. "I heard that his martial soul was an ordinary axe when he was registered, but he has never used it before." Ma Hongjun chuckled. "This was told to me by the top prostitute of the brothel. She said that her cousin is the person in charge of the registration of the Great Soul Arena. However, according to the internal rumors, it should be a mysterious expert specially invited by the Great Soul Arena to suppress his soul power and form a team. It's a gimmick that is specially used to control the low odds of some teams." Tang San and the others were slightly enlightened. "But since it's a gimmick of the Great Soul Arena in Soto City, why would it appear here?" Oscar was puzzled. Everyone was puzzled. "All right, watch carefully." The master pointed below. At this time, the door on the other side opened. A human figure slowly walked out from inside. Black clothes, white mask, walking alone under the spotlight, as if out of place in the Great Soul Arena. In the Great Soul Arena, Wang Feng walked up. On the opposite side, there were 7 rank 49 agility-type soul masters. 4 men and 3 women. The moment they saw Wang Feng, their martial souls and soul rings lit up directly. Why was the god-slaying team so terrifying? It was very simple. While they were bloodthirsty, they didn't underestimate their opponents and were extremely difficult to deal with. Moreover, the captain of the god-slaying team was the sworn brother of the demon god team just now. They created 2 different teams precisely because they wanted to face each other one day, or rather, they both wanted to die in each other's hands. The 2 who advocated bloodthirsty killing set this as their goal. They only wanted to die in the hands of their opponents. At this time, the demon god team had been completely annihilated. The god-slaying team could be said to be boiling with hostility at this moment. Their martial souls were all agility type, the Gale Rat. No one knew that they came from a very remote village. This village only inherited this Gale Rat martial soul. The 7 of them all came from the same village, and the captain was called Ba Shu. "Gohong, you're too careless. I've told you long ago, if you continue to fight like this, you'll suffer sooner or later." Ba Shu closed his eyes as if praying to the heavens. "Now, you didn't die in my hands, but under the cold arrows of the dark. You're too aggrieved, but don't worry, I'll take care of your family for you. After all, this is our promise back then. As for now, kill him," Ba Shu ordered. 7 figures, each with 4 soul rings lit up, and attacked Wang Feng on the opposite side. End of this chapter. Chapter 186. What one-man team, what 9-to-1, it didn't matter. They would all be turned into ashes under the sharp blades of his god-slaying battle team. As they were good at speed, each of their routes were extremely strange. They seemed to be attacking Wang Feng from all directions. Cold and sharp blades appeared on each of their claws. The cold light illuminated the excited and crazy faces of the countless spectators. At this moment, even Master's breathing was slightly hurried. The 7 agility-type Soul Masters were not weaker than the 7 assault-type Soul Masters. They might even be stronger. Their speed was too fast and their formation was scattered. The hidden weapons could not pose much of a threat to them. If we were to face them, our chances of winning would be very low, right? Dai Mubai gasped. Fortunately, Master chose the Demon God battle team for us. If this god-slaying battle team, Tang San felt a chill in his heart. These 7 agility-type Soul Masters were not afraid of his Zhuge Divine crossbow. They could only rely on their strength to resist, but their chances of winning were also very low. The main thing was that the opponent would directly kill them. Even if there was only one of the 7, the 2 support players would be finished if he cut into the back row. This 9-to-1. I'm afraid it's over, right? Ning Rongrong could not help but say. The other 6 frowned slightly. But at this moment, they suddenly saw an extremely frightening scene. That 9-to-1 suddenly spun on the spot. Immediately after, countless black rays shot out from his body. These black rays were like raindrops, appearing around the 9-to-1. Hundreds of Xianming spikes, as Wang Feng spun 360 degrees on the spot, attacked the god-slaying battle team from all directions. The black rays exploded, and almost no one saw what happened clearly. In an instant, the 6 members who were moving at high speed were directly pierced by at least dozens of Xianming spikes from various parts of their bodies. They died on the spot. Furthermore, each of them was still in the same posture as before their death. The only remaining captain, Ba Shu, had just rushed in front of Wang Feng. Those black rays seemed to have a mind of their own and directly gathered in Wang Feng's hand. They formed an extremely small black sword. Swoosh! A light flashed. Ba Shu suddenly froze in midair. Wang Feng held the black sword and directly walked off the stage without turning his head back. Until the moment he left the stage, dozens of bloody lines suddenly appeared on Ba Shu's body. It was as if he had been cut by something. Blood spurted out crazily, and then it fell to the ground, twitching endlessly, slowly being corroded. In an instant, the whole place was dead silent. Countless gazes stared fixedly at the white-clothed figure walking down the stage. It was an extremely short and simple battle. Everyone's mouth was slightly agape, and everyone's face was filled with shock. The new host was so scared that he peed his pants again. He forced himself to say in a trembling voice, "Royal Battle Team Victory!" The entire Great Soul Arena suddenly exploded into an uproar. This battle was even faster than the previous one. Spectators stand. The master's pupils constricted, and the other teachers also stared blankly at this scene. What a terrifying killing method! What exactly is that black light? Flenders stared at Jiu Ikai's back. Those black lights don't look like martial spirits but more like Xiao San's hidden weapons? Furthermore, it could even gather and disperse? Not only is its penetrating power terrifying, but its combined power is even more terrifying? As an agility system soul master, he had seen everything clearly at the last moment. It was a black sword blade the size of a middle finger. In an instant it had slashed across Ba Shu's body, leaving at least dozens of wounds. But in an instant, when the sword blade fell on Ba Shu's body, the sword blade underwent a slight adjustment, turning into dozens of blade-sized short blades that slashed across Ba Shu's body. It was just that the speed of the change was too fast and difficult to detect. Therefore, the effect was extremely dazzling and gorgeous. It gave people the illusion that there were dozens of swords under one sword. Hearing Flender's words, everyone looked at Tang San in unison. Tang San was also shocked to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat. I don't know either. Tang San was silent for a long time. He really didn't know that there was such a hidden weapon? There were so many of them, and they could still be controlled? And they could even change forms? Tang San had really never seen such a hidden weapon before? It was nothing to have a large number, and he could understand that it was fast. But to be able to take it back and change forms after killing people, this was a bit King ridiculous. Moreover, most of the hidden weapons were one-time consumables. The black lights released by Jiyikai just now were not consumed at all, and they all gathered in his hands in the end? Tang San felt that it was somewhat similar to Brother Feng's mysterious black lights and dark thorns, but there were hundreds of times more of them, and they could even gather into one, which was even more powerful and terrifying. Back in Soto City, Tang San had seen Wang Feng fight when he took revenge for Ma Hongjun and beat up Tian Ye and Old Goose, the two Soul Kings, over rank 50. However, he only used a few Xian Ming thorns at that time and didn't take Old Goose's life. This time it was different. Wang Feng directly controlled nearly 300 Xian Ming thorns. Against 6 people, he killed them in one hit, and the effect of instant killing in a fixed spot was terrifying. As for the last remaining one, through the combination of the Xian Ming thorns that he had trained for the past 2 months, he gathered them into a thin blade, and when he hit the enemy, he made micro-adjustments and turned them into dozens of short blades in a group, instantly causing dozens of fatal injuries on the enemy's body. He achieved the effect of instant killing with one sword. He was both pretentious and cool. Wang Feng had trained for a long time. Could it be that there are people in this world who are proficient in hidden weapons? Tang San's heart skipped a beat. For a moment, he was very curious about this 9-to-1 shot. After watching the team battle, everyone felt much better. Sure enough, he felt much better. That kind of shock directly suppressed the nausea. The opponent's methods are so fierce. That last move was too dazzling. Ma Hongjun was scared and excited at the same time. It doesn't feel like Little Three's hidden weapons, but they are stronger and can be gathered in his hand. Especially that movement of withdrawing the blade and turning around, it's so clean and neat, so cool. I feel like I can't learn it in my life. At this time, the master turned around and looked at them, coughing a few times. In the future, you have to be like this, decisive when you attack and neat when you withdraw. Remember, you have to be like this when facing your enemies, not to mention these vicious soul masters. Who knows how many lives have been taken by their hands? Hearing the master's words, everyone felt a little better. Master, where's Wang Feng? Ning Rongrong suddenly asked at this time. He went back to the hotel first, saying that your competition was boring. Everyone. The next morning, the nausea in everyone's hearts lessened by quite a bit. After preparing food and water, everyone set off for Heaven Do Imperial City. A few days later, the group was finally close to Heaven Do Imperial City. However, it seems like no one has been to Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Fortunately, Ning Rongrong has been there before. I know where Heaven Do Imperial Academy is. I used to come here with my clansmen to play. Ning Rongrong pointed at the location on the map. They're outside the city. Is that so? Flender was surprised. Then he said proudly, I didn't expect the founder of Heaven Do Imperial Academy to have the same idea as me. Principal, it's not like that. Ning Rongrong laughed secretly. Heaven Do Imperial Academy was built outside the city because there wasn't enough space in the city. Plus, to prevent the academy from running into the city and slacking off, it was built outside the city. Flender. End of chapter. Chapter 187. Flender, it doesn't feel good to be mocked by a student, does it? Zhao Wuji laughed from the side. The two of them started to bicker, causing everyone else to laugh. All right, let's hurry. The Grand Master glared at the two of them. Even if you don't use your brain, it's obvious that Heaven Do Imperial Academy is built outside the city. How could they have the same idea as you? You're poor, but do you think Heaven Do Imperial Academy is poor? The Grandmaster's words angered Flender. He wanted to say something, but the Grandmaster interrupted him. It's getting late. It's better if we get to the academy as soon as possible so that we can start cultivating. The child has been rushing for days and is tired. Flender could only shake his head. The group walked out of the city. Not long after, they arrived at Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Wang Feng saw the majestic academy. It was surrounded by a 1,000-meter-tall mountain. Behind it was a forest, and below the mountain was a huge lake. Even though they hadn't reached the inner area, they could feel the abundant energy. This is a good place, Wang Feng praised. This place wasn't inferior to the Great Star Do Forest. Although the Great Star Do Forest was a good place, it was also dangerous. At this time, the sun was setting. The forest in the distance seemed to be covered in a layer of faint light, as if it was one with the sparkling water of the lake. Coupled with the majestic mountain that was thousands of meters high, it reminded Wang Feng of the mountain resorts in his previous life, as well as the villas built in the mountains. It's been a long time since I've been here. This place is still so beautiful. Ning Rongrong looked at the scenery in the distance and sighed. It's a good place, but our Shrek Academy isn't bad either. It's simple, and gives the children the most effective training. Flender coughed a few times. Forget it. The Grandmaster glared at him. This Heaven Do Imperial Academy is so big. It's surrounded by mountains and rivers. To a large extent, it's to provide a suitable cultivation environment for soul masters. Shrek is just a small village. I don't know how you've nurtured so many monsters over the years. Flender was speechless for a moment. He couldn't refute. Grandmaster, you can't say that. At this moment, Wang Feng said with a smile, there's a saying that a treasured sword needs to be tempered with great difficulty before it can shine. Oftentimes, the more difficult the environment is, the more brilliant it will be if one can walk out of it. Therefore, although the Shrek Academy is very shabby, none of the monsters that have walked out over the years are weak. The growth of a true genius may be limited by the environment, but they will never be drowned by the light. Wang Feng's words could only be considered as common logic in his previous life. In fact, that was the case. In a certain era, when the country was in danger, it was a time of crisis. Who knew how many heroes walked out of the difficult environment and held up the sky? The master was slightly stunned. He felt that Wang Feng's words made sense from a strange angle. I believe that even after 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, our Shrek Academy will no longer exist. Wang Feng said with a smile, but there will definitely be other Shrek Academy appearing on the continent. In fact, even after tens of thousands of years, the Shrek Academy was still there. Everyone fell silent. Everyone was slightly moved by Wang Feng's words. Especially Tang San. A treasured sword often needs to be sharpened arduously before it can shine. Flender murmured, the growth of a true genius may be limited by the environment, but they will never be drowned by the light. I can't believe that a 13-year-old child said this to me. The master also glanced at Wang Feng with a strange look in his eyes. Well said. Flender came back to his senses and slapped his thigh excitedly. Master, did you see that? This is the original intention of my Shrek Academy. This is why I built the academy in that kind of environment. I want them to be able to walk out of that kind of environment. Forget it. Although Little Feng's words make sense, you're embarrassed because you don't have enough money, the master said with endless criticism. Flender was speechless. Hee, Big Brother Feng has a way with words. Xiao Wu covered her smile and said, it's a pity that he didn't become a teacher. Tang San also nodded repeatedly. Am I the only one who thinks that when he spoke just now, he was very charming? Ning Rongrong whispered to Xiao Wu, blushing slightly. It's not just you. I think so too, Tang San said with a smile. They all think so too. Dai Mubai and the others nodded slightly. This actually has something to do with Big Brother Feng's background. Tang San sighed softly. Big Brother Feng is even more pitiful than me. At least I had my father to raise me. Big Brother Feng's parents died when he was born. He was raised by Grandpa Jack and grew up eating the meals of the villagers. Is it that pitiful? Ning Rongrong was shocked. Pitiful my ass. Wang Feng was speechless. Although he didn't experience the love of a mother and father in this life, he grew up normally in his previous life and his parents were still alive. At this moment the group was walking. Suddenly, 10 soul masters wearing the Heaven Do Academy's uniform blocked their path. The leader of the group, a young man, spoke. Stop. Who are you people? Seeing these youths, Flender and the others recognized their origins and directly said with a smile, You're right. They smiled and said, We're from the Shrek Academy in Soto City in the south. We were invited to the Heaven Do Academy for an exchange. Young man, lead the way. When the leading young man heard this, he couldn't help but size them up a few times. He sneered. Since when did our Heaven Do Academy invite a bunch of beggars for an exchange? Do you think our Heaven Do Academy is a place where anyone can enter? Get lost. His words were very rude. At this moment, the group was indeed travel-worn, but they couldn't be considered beggars. When they heard this, not to mention Flender and the others, even Tang San and the others were angry. At this moment, Wang Feng walked out and looked at them with a smile. Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Can you repeat it? I said, you're a bunch of beggars. The leader frowned. No, before that. The leader thought for a moment and sneered. I said, who are you people? As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Feng sent him flying with a kick. I'm your grandfather. Everyone was speechless. What are you waiting for? Attack. Wang Feng turned to Tang San and said, What, Shrek's 7 monsters, are you afraid of causing trouble? The few of them immediately reacted and walked towards the 10 young men with fierce looks on their faces. When Dai Mubai and Tang San joined the fight, they didn't even use soul power to beat the 10 young men until their faces were swollen and bruised. However, they didn't use too much strength and the 10 young men didn't suffer any injuries. They're too weak. This Heaven Do Imperial Academy is probably a school that got in because of connections. Wang Feng shook his head. Most of them are trash. They're not worth mentioning. You dare to cause trouble in the Heaven Do Academy? This is a provocation to the Empire. And you dare to call yourself my grandfather? Do you know who I am? You're courting death. The leader of the group had a footprint on his abdomen. His eyes were alternating between green and red as he spoke to Wang Feng. End of chapter. Chapter 188. Wait, did I say that? Wang Feng was surprised. How come I don't remember? The leader was stunned and immediately shouted angrily, Did you just say that? You're my grandfather. I don't believe you. Say it again? Wang Feng quickly asked. You're my grandfather. Look, you said it yourself. It has nothing to do with me. Wang Feng sighed. Why do you want to be someone's grandson for no reason? Have you considered your father's feelings? You unfilial son. If you dare to say it out loud, I think your father won't let you off. You. The youth's face turned red and he couldn't say a word. Everyone's face turned red. Wang Feng quickly asked. The youth subconsciously said it out loud and only realized that he was being stupid after saying it. At this moment, an old and powerful voice sounded. Who's making a ruckus in the Heaven Do Academy? Hearing this voice, the leading young man immediately got up and walked into the distance. On a small path in the forest, a hale and hearty old man wearing a silver uniform was rushing over. Teacher's son. Here, there are a few people who want to barge into the academy. I chased them away and they even beat us up. You have to uphold justice for us. The youth hurriedly crawled over to the old man. The old man called Teacher's son frowned and scolded. Avalanche, look at your current state. This is improper. Stand to the side. As he spoke, Teacher's son walked towards Flender and the others. As a teacher, this old man was clearly much more mature than the youth. I'm Sunbu, a teacher from the Heaven Do Empire. May I know who you are? Flender said indifferently and briefly explained what had happened and who he was. After he finished, Sunbu's expression changed and he said respectfully, "So it's Dean Flender from the Shrek Academy. Teacher Qin Ming already told us a few days ago that Teacher Qin is from the Shrek Academy. What happened just now was Avalanche's fault. I represent the Heaven Do Academy to apologize to everyone. Please follow me." Hearing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Wang Feng shook his head inwardly. The internal relationships of the Heaven Do Imperial Academy were quite complicated. The royal family was behind the scenes, but the teachers in the academy were not completely on the side of the royal family. Even though the teaching staff was strong, most of them were rotten fish and shrimp. There were very few like Yu Tianheng. It would be difficult for them to nurture some powerful soul masters. Even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. This was probably what it meant. The group followed Sunbu up the steps leading to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. The young man looked at their backs with a vicious look in his eyes. Shrek Academy. You want to stay in the Heaven Do Academy after beating me, Avalanche? If I don't chase you out like stray dogs, I won't have an avalanche. Your Highness, stray dogs refers to dogs that have no home to return to. The Heaven Do Academy isn't their home. That's not the right word to use. F***ck off. From the small path in the forest, Wang Feng and the others slowly walked up the stairs. They could feel the energy in the air becoming more and more abundant. Moreover, as the horizon slowly rose, one could overlook the lake below, as well as the forest in the distance. It was really relaxing and relaxing. Is this a simulated cultivation environment? Wang Feng thought to himself. He often cultivated in the Star Do forest, but it was too dangerous and unsuitable for meditation. If he meditated or cultivated in this place, his cultivation speed would be much faster. His chaotic green lotus was also a type of plant. It could absorb the energy in this place much faster. A simulated cultivation environment meant that different types of soul masters were placed in the same environment. This way, their cultivation speed would be greatly increased. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy had such a large area. Naturally, they had built at least 100 simulated cultivation environments to provide soul masters with the most perfect cultivation environment. It's really a treasure trove, Wang Feng thought to himself. Along the way, Flender had a simple conversation with Sunbu. He had a rough understanding of the Heaven Do Academy. It's a pity that we can't stay for long. Wang Feng shook his head. He didn't know much about the story of the Douluo continent. He only knew that Tang San had walked out of the Heaven Do Academy. Instead, he had joined another academy. Not long after, Sunbu brought everyone to the academy's guest room. There weren't many students in the main campus. Most of them were cultivating in the simulated cultivation environment. After Sunbu left, Qin Ming quickly arrived. After a few pleasantries, Qin Ming smiled. I've already discussed with the academy's higher-up. They've all agreed to your conditions. The higher-ups think highly of you. Tomorrow, I'll arrange for you to meet them and treat you to a banquet. You must be tired after traveling for a few days. I've already arranged a guest room for you. Please follow me. Qin Ming was someone who could walk out of the Shrek Academy. He was very methodical and reliable. It's a pity that Qin Ming didn't appear in the original novel. Wang Feng shook his head. He had a good impression of Qin Ming. However, he didn't know what happened to Qin Ming. He was the former monster of the Shrek Academy who possessed a mutated beast martial soul. Logically speaking, he had the potential to become a titled Douluo. Qin Ming first brought everyone to eat a banquet prepared by the academy. Then, he personally brought everyone to the rooms that had been arranged. The rooms that were arranged were also excellent. They weren't inferior to those hotels. This Heaven-Do Imperial Academy gave Wang Feng the feeling that it was built on the mountainside. It was like a group of villas. They were arranged in picturesque disorder, and were unusually orderly and luxurious. After traveling for a few days, everyone rested comfortably in this environment. The next day, early in the morning, Qin Ming came to find Tang San and the others. Cultivating so early? Qin Ming looked at Tang San and smiled. It's a pity. If only the students of our academy were as diligent as you. Tang San was sitting on the roof. He had just finished cultivating the mysterious heaven technique and purple demon eyes. When he heard Qin Ming's words, he smiled embarrassedly. Senior, you're overpraising me. Qin Ming shook his head. Among the Shrek's 7 monsters, you left the deepest impression on me. If it weren't for your command in that battle, the 7 of you would have been defeated long ago. This has an inseparable relationship with your diligence. Tang San stood up and said embarrassedly, Actually, the most diligent person in the academy isn't me, it's Brother Feng. Brother Feng, you're the monster captain, Wang Feng, right? Qin Ming laughed. He's indeed different. Very different. Yes, Brother Feng is cultivating even when he's sleeping. Tang San said in admiration. Qin Ming. Chapter 189. What did you say? You can cultivate while sleeping? Qin Ming stared at Tang San in disbelief. Big Brother Feng taught us this method, but we can't learn it yet. We can only train and cultivate at the same time. Tang San explained. Qin Ming swallowed hard. He suddenly understood why the 7 of them were so abnormal. That battle. Tang San laughed bitterly. Actually, Big Brother Feng often sparred with us alone for the past 3 months. If it weren't for those 3 months of training, we would have been defeated immediately. After all, the Imperial battle team is too cautious. Sparring with you all alone? 3 months? Qin Ming was shocked. He hadn't heard of such a situation when he was reminiscing with Flender and the others. In a daze, Qin Ming recalled Flender's words when he first introduced Wang Feng. Either he wanted to come out or he was beaten out. At that time, Qin Ming didn't understand. Now he understood. He alone can beat the 7 of you. Wait, it seems possible. Just as Qin Ming asked, he was shocked. He seemed to be able to beat me back then? At that time, I used all my strength except for my 2 soul skills and rank 20 soul power. I couldn't even beat him with my core soul skill. For 3 months, we didn't win even once. Tang San said with a face full of shame. Our best result was that the 7 of us lasted 10 minutes against Big Brother Feng. We really didn't have any soul power left. Qin Ming was speechless. That monster captain Wang Feng, is he really only rank 34? Qin Ming could not help but question himself in his heart. A 13-year-old child has already caught up to me, a 30-year-old. Qin Ming really didn't know how strong Wang Feng would be when he reached 30. After a moment of shock, Qin Ming asked Tang San to wake everyone up. After breakfast, he introduced them to Heaven-Do Academy's interior. Along the way, Qin Ming's gaze fell on Wang Feng from time to time. Wang Feng thought Qin Ming was, "What's going on? Why is teacher Qin Ming looking at me?" Wang Feng thought to himself, "I'm a serious guy who likes older girls." Wang Feng walked to the side, avoiding Qin Ming's gaze as he listened to Qin Ming's introduction. The Heaven-Do Academy's grading system was very strict. The students were divided into Heaven Micro, Heaven Supreme, and Heaven-Do. It was the same for the teachers, but there were 3 more teachers from the education committee, all of whom were Soul Douluos. However, Wang Feng could understand. In his previous life, there were ordinary classes, rocket classes, and experimental classes. The teachers were also divided into ordinary teachers, special teachers, professors, and so on. With the strength of Flender and the others, it wasn't a problem for them to reach the Heaven Do level. Moreover, the bonus was quite high. 3,000 gold coins. This was simply too rich. Soon, Qin Ming led the group to a building in the middle of the school. This building was majestic and magnificent. It was not inferior to the martial spirit halls in the big cities. When Qin Ming led the group in, Wang Feng saw 3 old men standing at the very front. The old man was wearing a long black robe. Only Seoul Douluos had such robes, and they had to be collected from the spirit hall. They were also dressed very formally. The pressure was involuntarily released from the 3 of them. Seoul Douluo. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. Above rank 80, Seoul Douluo were still very strong. At least, Wang Feng couldn't defeat them now. Even if he used Panga's axe, he didn't have a chance. 5th gear would also be beaten up. Regardless of everything else, just in terms of rank, a Seoul Douluo was at least equivalent to an ordinary soul beast of more than 60,000 years. 30,000 years was equivalent to a rank 71 soul sage, and 10,000 years was equivalent to a rank 61 soul emperor. Back then, Wang Feng couldn't kill the powerful thorny Xuanwu turtle with Panga's axe. He should be able to do it now. Naturally, Wang Feng could barely fight a rank 70 soul sage with Panga's axe, but it would also be a loss to him. As for those below rank 71, he could basically kill them instantly with Panga's axe. If it was around rank 61, Wang Feng could kill it instantly with 5th gear, not defeat it. However, 5th gear had many trump cards, and it was unlikely that Wang Feng would use them. Back then, Qin Ming still had a part of his strength that he hadn't used. Wang Feng's 2nd gear was stronger than him, so he could suppress him and send him flying with one punch, causing him to fall off the soul dueling stage and fail. In fact, he wasn't seriously injured. But if he was serious, Qin Ming wouldn't have been defeated so easily. As for those below rank 61, 3rd gear or 4th gear would sweep them. As for those below rank 51, he would use the mysterious underworld spike to kill them instantly. Just like the God-slaying battle team, if they were defense-type soul masters, they could still resist. Unfortunately, those 7 people were all agility-type soul masters and were as fragile as paper in front of them. Hence, Wang Feng was still a little careful when he saw the Seoul Douluo now. After all, he couldn't defeat them. At this moment, seeing how formal the 3 elders were, Wang Feng didn't dare to offend them. Flender and the others naturally did not dare to be negligent. They directly walked over, placed their hands on their shoulders, and respectfully said, "I'm the Dean of the Shrek Academy, Flender. I'm an agility type, rank 78, 7-ringed Soul Emperor. Greetings, seniors." Behind him, Zhao Wuji and the other teachers also stepped forward and reported their names. These 3 elders were older and stronger than them, so it was natural for them to do so. Seeing this, the 3 elders smiled. One of them, who was slightly skinny and had a sage-like demeanor, helped Flender up and said, "You're too polite. I've heard a lot about the Shrek Academy since you're able to produce a disciple like Qin Ming. I'm Dream God Ji. My martial soul is the Black Demon. I'm a control type, rank 86, Battle Soul Dalu. As for these 2, let me introduce them to you." This elder, who called himself Dream God Ji, pointed at the other 2 and introduced them. One of them was slightly chubby. He was called Bai Baoshan. His martial soul was the Starry Furnace. He was a defense type, rank 85, 8-ringed Battle Soul Dalu. The other one was called Ji Lin. His martial soul was the Heavenly Ivy. He was a rank 83, 8-ringed Tool Soul Dalu. Ji Lin looked ordinary and his figure was ordinary. Compared to the other 2, there wasn't much special about him. The 3 of them invited everyone into an office. This office was the kind of living room that Wang Feng had imagined. It was simple and plain, and there wasn't much extravagance. From this, it was clear that these 3 Soul Douluo were hard-working people. They took their seat. Dream God Ji smiled and said, "Let's cut to the chase. To be honest, We didn't think that our Imperial battle team would lose to you. As expected of the Monster Academy. We'll agree to whatever request you asked Qin Ming to convey. All 7 of them will be under your tutelage. In the future, all glory will belong to the Heaven Do Academy. You can use all the facilities in the academy. When the time comes, if you want to leave, we won't stop you. Other than that, if you have any other requests, we'll agree to them as long as it's within the scope of our authority. The 3 of them were courteous to the wise. If that's the case, thank you, Senior. Flender sighed inwardly, but maintained a smile on his face. By the way, I heard from Qin Ming that among the Shrek's 7 monsters, there's a genius control-type Soul Master and a powerful auxiliary-type Soul Master. May I know who they are? The Dream God Ji glanced at the people behind Flender. I don't dare to call myself a genius Soul Master. Tang San and Lin Feng? Master Dream God Ji asked. Wang Feng didn't step out. In his mind, this was the opportunity for Little 3. He wanted to take a look first. He would step out later. It's going to be a new week soon. I'll ask for a ticket. End of chapter. Chapter 190. Tang San glanced at Wang Feng before he stood up and walked out. Greetings, teachers. The 3 Soul Douluo smiled but didn't say anything. Suddenly, Jilin Soul Douluo looked at Tang San. Pressure surged towards Tang San like a tidal wave. The air around Tang San started to distort. The others couldn't sense it, but Tang San could feel pressure coming from all directions. It felt as if everyone around him was using shields to crush him. It was very uncomfortable. Fortunately, this pressure didn't have any killing intent. He just wanted to pressure Tang San and test his strength. Tang San also understood that Jilin Soul Douluo was testing him. Fortunately, Jilin Soul Douluo was also a control-type Soul Master, and was the weakest among the 3. Without thinking, Tang San immediately used the mysterious Heaven method to resist. When the rest of the Shrek Academy saw this scene, especially the teachers, they naturally understood what Jilin Soul Douluo was trying to do. TSK, no matter what, these 3 Soul Douluo from the Heaven Do Academy are not bad. Wang Feng could also feel it. He was very sensitive to the energy fluctuations around him. Although he wasn't beside Tang San, he could still feel the pressure that Jilin was exerting on Tang San. It was getting stronger step by step. This was obviously a different kind of test. If the pressure was exerted right from the start, only the teachers present would be able to withstand it. However, Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and the others can withstand this pressure. It's not enough for Little San to break through. Let's work harder. Wang Feng watched silently. Tang San, who possessed an external soul bone, naturally didn't lose out to Huoyu Hao in terms of physical fitness. Aside from the external soul bone's special effects, it could also enhance a soul master's physical attributes in all aspects. Even if they didn't use it, once they absorbed the external soul bone, it would subtly change a soul master's physique. Otherwise, soul masters wouldn't be so desperate for it. Ordinary soul masters who obtained an external soul bone were equivalent to obtaining a golden finger. Slowly, the soul power that Jilin Soul Douluo released became stronger. A Soul Douluo naturally had exquisite control over their soul power. Under such pressure, Tang San's expression remained unchanged, and a faint white mist appeared on his body because of the mysterious Heaven skill. Not bad. The other 2 Soul Douluo were a little astonished, because the soul power pressure that Jilin was releasing right now had already exceeded the level that a rank 33 Soul Master could withstand. As for Tang San, they could tell that he was a rank 33 Soul Master when he first circulated his soul power to resist the attack. But now, this genius control-type Soul Master hadn't even used his martial soul. Jilin's eyes flashed. His soul power increased again, reaching the limit of rank 35. Soul power pressure was different from one's own soul power. Generally speaking, it would be considered good if one could withstand 2/3 of one's soul power. Furthermore, he would need to release his martial soul, and it had to be a beast martial soul. This was because a beast martial soul greatly increased the attributes of a soul master's body. But now, the pressure of a rank 35 soul power had already surpassed this child's level. He still didn't release his martial soul to resist. Flender and the others were a little worried, especially Xiao Wu. She could already see a slight change in Tang San's expression. As someone who understood Tang San the most, she naturally knew that Tang San was already feeling the pressure. Only the Grandmaster and Wang Feng were leisurely drinking tea. The Grandmaster knew Tang San like the back of his hand, and Wang Feng knew the Grandmaster like the back of his hand, let alone Tang San. Ji Lin's soul power pressure slowly increased from rank 35 all the way to rank 40. Finally, Tang San couldn't take it anymore. Blue-silver grass silently bloomed on Tang San's palm. A blue-silver light covered the grass, and it slowly fluttered in the wind under Ji Lin's soul power pressure. After seeing his opponent release his soul power, Ji Lin roughly knew that he had reached the limit of what his opponent could withstand. Just as he was about to retract his soul power pressure, he exclaimed in surprise. The blue-silver grass was slightly stretching and swaying around Tang San's body, as if it was weakening the soul power pressure. Borrowing strength to fight strength, 4 tails to lift 1,000 pounds? Wang Feng took a sip of tea. Others might not be able to see the clues, but he naturally understood. Tang San had obviously borrowed a technique from his previous life. Combining it with the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique, he used the weak blue-silver grass to remove Ji Lin's soul power pressure. As expected of Little 3, Wang Feng thought to himself. Although he couldn't use soul skills like his Reverse the Universe, he could use the toughness of his blue-silver grass to carry out this kind of 4 tails to lift 1,000 pounds. It had to be said that he was quick-witted. At this moment, Ji Lin saw this scene. With a thought, his soul power pressure increased again, all the way to rank 45. 4 tails to lift 1,000 pounds was no longer effective. TSK, even Dai Mubai can't withstand this limit, right? Wang Feng thought to himself. Although Little 3 didn't use cheats, he had cheats everywhere. At the same time, Tang San, who was operating the mysterious heaven method at an extremely fast speed, felt the pressure tearing his body apart. Immediately after, he released his soul bones. 8 huge spider spears rose from Tang San's back. Soul bones! The 3 soul Douluo cried out. Ji Lin's soul quickly retracted his soul power pressure. Of course, they would recognize this thing. True white fog emerged from Tang San's body. The 8 spider spears also moved rhythmically, as if they were under perfect control. Thank you, Ji Lin's soul, for your help. The master stood up and laughed. Ever since Tang San obtained this external soul bone, he has been unable to control it at will. Now, under the pressure of Ji Lin's soul, he has finally become one with this external soul bone. He has reached the point where he can control it like his own arm. Hearing this, Ji Lin's soul was stunned at first. Then, he and the other 2 were shocked. External soul bone? They naturally knew the preciousness of this kind of treasure. After a moment of silence, the 3 of them looked at the master with a special meaning in their eyes. They were somewhat impressed. They were impressed because Shrek Academy didn't hide anything from them. They even told them about the external soul bone. This was a form of trust and respect. If it were them, they might not be able to do it. However, the master naturally understood that these 3 soul Douluo were respected in the world of soul masters. They were kind and mellow seniors. That was why they did this. Outsiders didn't know that Tang San's current state of body was far better than perfect control of the 8 spider spears. His soul power has increased by 1 level. It seems that in the original work, Little 3 opened a meridian here? Wang Feng looked at Tang San. He could feel the soul power fluctuation. Meridians usually appeared in wuxia novels. Wang Feng only knew the general name of the 8 extraordinary meridians. Wang Feng really didn't know which one specifically. However, the opening of the meridians obviously improved Tang San greatly. It could be said that it directly made him a rank 34 control-type Soul Master, but his physical fitness had exceeded rank 40. End of chapter. Chapter 191. Unfortunately, I'm not a martial arts expert. I don't know the mysterious heaven method, and I don't know where these meridians are. Wang Fengxin felt a little regretful. If he could open these meridians, he would have become stronger. Generally, the younger the meridians were opened, the more benefits one would gain. Although it was a little regretful, Wang Feng wasn't too disappointed. Everyone had their own path, and it didn't necessarily mean that the path others took was the best. The path that was suitable for oneself was the best. Wang Feng felt that his current path was quite suitable for himself. If there were too many paths, he wouldn't be able to sort them out. Biting off more than one could chew was the truth. Moreover, with the meteoric tear, Wang Feng might not even know if his body was reforged again and all the 8 extraordinary meridians were opened. After all, Wang Feng really didn't know where the 8 extraordinary meridians were located. Who would have the time to study those things? He didn't study medicine in his previous life, so those who studied medicine might know. After Tang San retrieved the external soul bone, he walked back, feeling refreshed. Brother Feng. Tang San smiled and glanced at Wang Feng. I've finished the test, now it's Brother Feng's turn. How far can Brother Feng go? At this moment, not only was Tang San curious, everyone else was curious. Even the 3 Soul Douluo were curious. According to what Qin Ming had said, Tang San was a genius soul master who was good at controlling things. Now, he had proven that he was a genius. The next one was a powerful support-type soul master who was praised by Qin Ming, the monster captain of Shrek's 7 monsters. How powerful would he be? Little Feng. The master glanced at Wang Feng. Let them see. Flender chuckled in a low voice. As the dean of Shrek Academy, the more powerful the students were, the more face he would have. Good luck. Ning Rongrong secretly pulled Wang Feng's sleeve and whispered, Yes. Zhu Zhuqing pursed her lips slightly and gave Wang Feng a look of encouragement. Captain, let the 3 seniors see the power of our Shrek Academy. Ma Hongjun chuckled. Little 3 is already so strong, so the captain must be even stronger. I'm guessing that Ji Lin Soul will have to show some of his true abilities. Oscar also laughed. Let's make a conservative estimate. A rank 50 Soul Emperor's aura should be able to pressure our monster captain. Dai Mubai analyzed. After watching Tang San, the 5 of them could tell that the 3 Contra Douluos wanted to test the 2 representatives of the Shrek Academy. Cough, cough. Wang Feng stood up and walked out, looking at the 3 with a calm expression. Seniors, please. The word please carried a hint of sharpness. The 3 Soul Douluos exchanged a glance. I'll do it, the Dream God Machine said slowly. He was a rank 86 Soul Warrior, the strongest of them all. Reaching their level, the difference between each level could be said to be like heaven and earth. Wang Feng smiled as he looked at the Dream God Machine. With the experience of observing Tang San earlier, the Dream God Machine did not exert pressure slowly. Instead, it immediately unleashed its rank 34 soul power. The atmosphere was heavy. Wang Feng crossed his arms and shook his head slightly. Everyone. This kid is a little too arrogant. Zhao Wuji could not help but laugh. Does he really not care about his seniors? Shaking his head? The rest of the people laughed as well. They knew Wang Feng's personality. He was not afraid of anything. At this moment, he was not afraid at all. He shook his head slightly, which seemed to have shocked the rank 86 Soul Douluo. Good fellow. The Dream God Machine's eyes flashed with a hint of a smile, and its soul power increased rapidly. It was a control-type soul warrior, and its control of its soul power was naturally exquisite. Right now, its soul power was increasing rapidly, and it was not increasing slowly. It was hard for people to get used to such a rapid increase. In just a moment, its soul power had increased to rank 40, which was the limit that Tang San could withstand. Wang Feng's face did not turn red, and he did not look away. He shook his head slightly again. The Dream God Machine. The other two Soul Douluos laughed. At the same time, they were extremely shocked. This monster captain, no wonder he could become the leader of the 7 of them. Indeed, there was something truly amazing about it. Interesting. Did you notice? Jilin whispered. He hasn't used his soul power yet. Just now, Tang San directly used his soul power when I used it. He's using his own body's strength to resist? Bai Baoshan nodded. He felt that this monster captain would give them a huge shock. Evidently, Wang Feng's slight shake of his head was far more stimulating than any words. The Dream God Machine's face turned red. Although it shook its head, it meant that the soul power was not strong enough for it to continue. However, it was still a Soul Douluo, and it had its own pride. The Dream God Machine pointed its finger in the air, and a huge amount of soul power surged towards Wang Feng like mercury. The rapid increase in soul power was only effective on Wang Feng, but as the soul power continued to fluctuate, everyone could feel it very clearly. A gust of wind blew from Wang Feng's body, and it blew towards the people behind him. He's already rank 50. Flender was a little worried. Even a rank 50 Soul Douluo might not be able to withstand this level of soul power. Even I can't withstand it now, Tang San muttered to himself. Brother Feng is still very strong. Everyone watched closely, afraid that an accident would happen. At this moment, Wang Feng still did not feel much soul power. He only felt that his body was a little heavy, and his consciousness was very clear. His body was too strong. At the very least, he needed to use his soul power to resist the soul power that was close to rank 60. Wang Feng was not sure if he could reach his limit at rank 60. After reaching rank 50, even the other two Soul Douluo became nervous. They were afraid that something would happen to this child. Be careful, Shenji. Jilin whispered. Don't hurt the child. The plump Bai Baoshan also whispered. The Dream God Machine knew what to do. He looked at Wang Feng, and could clearly sense that Wang Feng was still not using his soul power. Is this child's body made of diamond? The Dream God Machine could not help but think to himself. He continued to increase the soul power pressure, but the speed was much slower. He was a little worried that Wang Feng would not be able to withstand it if he increased it too quickly. The soul power pressure was slowly increasing. Everyone's hearts were beating faster and faster. Even the Grandmasters felt their mouths dry up. This was because their soul power had reached rank 59. At this moment, Wang Feng finally started to circulate his soul power. Faint green soul force circulated throughout his entire body. Under the pressure of his soul force, a layer of faint green mist appeared, making Wang Feng look like a celestial that was controlling the clouds. There was a kind of hazy beauty to him. It's so beautiful, Ning Rongrong whispered as she blushed. Rongrong, are you paying attention to the wrong place? Xiao Wu said with difficulty. The people behind them could not help but feel a wave of pressure coming from the shop. An invisible whirlpool formed around Wang Feng. With such a huge amount of soul power pressure, even if the Dream God Machine controlled it well, it would still dissipate when it landed on Wang Feng's body. This soul power pressure is indeed very pleasurable. Wang Feng felt as if he was being crushed by a mountain. He suddenly thought of Sun Wukong being crushed under the Five-Finger Mountain. Although Wang Feng did not know what it was, he felt that it was the same. End of this chapter. Chapter 192. Under this kind of pressure, Wang Feng felt that his soul force circulation and absorption had become much faster. The muscle fibers in his body were also repeatedly compressing and solidifying themselves. At this moment, the Dream God machine heaved a sigh of relief when it sensed Wang Feng's soul power. Is he finally using his soul power? However, after level 60, the strength of each level would be far stronger than the previous level. As one's soul power cultivation progressed, the difference between ranks would become bigger and bigger, following which, the Dream God machine began to increase its soul power pressure, slowly increasing it level by level. He felt that he was under the most pressure. The Dream God machine couldn't imagine that it was exerting soul power pressure on a rank 34 soul master, all the way until rank 64. Wang Feng's expression changed slightly. He circulated his soul power in a frenzy to resist the pressure. However, the terrifying soul power pressure was like a tsunami that slammed into his body, stirring up the space around him. He felt as if he was being mercilessly slammed into by countless people every second. Mysterious Underworld Armor. Wang Feng secretly released the mysterious underworld armor and attached it to the surface of his body. No one noticed. What was interesting was that Wang Feng discovered that his control over the mysterious underworld spike had become even faster under the terrifying pressure of this soul force. He was delighted. He diverted his attention. As he circulated his soul power to resist the pressure, he controlled his soul power to control the mysterious underworld spike. 1 spike, 2 spikes, 50 spikes, 60 spikes. Damn, my control over the mysterious underworld spike has increased under such conditions. It's indeed obvious. No wonder Little Three's 8 spider spears can be controlled so perfectly under such conditions. I can control at least 100 spikes in this trip. Wang Feng used 5 months to control the first 300 spikes. After that, he used an average of 100 spikes per month. As his control over his soul power became better, the number of spikes he could control increased rapidly. Now, under this soul power pressure, it was increasing exponentially. Furthermore, this control couldn't be detected. It was like the anal lifting exercise. It tightened the anus and trained the anal sphincter. If you were standing beside someone, you could unknowingly perform the anal lifting exercise dozens of times. No one would be able to detect it, unless they used their X-ray vision and could see the movements of your muscles. The Dream God machine and the other 2 soul Douluo were the same. They couldn't see the mysterious underworld spike and the mysterious underworld armor unless they could see the circulation of Wang Feng's soul power. Just like that, Wang Feng rapidly increased his control over the number of mysterious underworld spikes. At this moment, Wang Feng's mind was completely focused on controlling his soul power and channeling it into the mysterious underworld spike. On the outside, everyone's faces were filled with shock. Lin Feng, this brat, could it be that he didn't use his martial spirit? It's almost at rank 67. Zhao Wuji broke out in a cold sweat. Level 67, even if he was in Wang Feng's position, he would have to use his martial spirit. Even the Dream God machine didn't dare to increase its soul power. That was because if he wanted to increase his strength any further, he would need to use martial soul possession in order to guarantee his precise control. Otherwise, if he wasn't careful, the pressure of his soul power could crush his opponent to death. Let's stop for now. A thin layer of sweat appeared on Jilin's forehead. It couldn't be helped. At this point, they really didn't know where the limits of this monster captain were. If he continued to suppress it, what if something went wrong? However, at this moment, Wang Feng opened his eyes in a daze. Why did you stop? Everyone. Wang Feng felt that the speed of his mysterious underworld spike had slowed down. Only then did he come to his senses. It seemed that his opponent's soul power had stopped. At this moment, the number of mysterious underworld spikes he could control had increased to more than 400. However, just as he came to his senses, Wang Feng felt an intense pain all over his body. It was as if he was suffocating. Damn, I was too focused on controlling the mysterious underworld spike just now. I didn't feel it, Wang Feng broke out in cold sweat. I'm almost at my limit. However, the more I reach my limit, the more I can activate the meteoric tear. Even if it's just once. However, if the level of this pressure increases any further, I'm afraid I won't be able to withstand it. However, if there are 3 rank 67 soul power presences, it should be just right. There was no helping it. The increase in soul power pressure after each rank was too great. The difference between one rank was like heaven and earth. Simply put, if rank 69 was too high, his body would probably explode. The meteoric tear wouldn't be enough. Rank 68 wasn't enough to activate the meteoric tear. 3 rank 67 soul power presences were just right. Thinking of this, Wang Feng couldn't help but lower his voice. Is it possible for the other 2 seniors to come up as well and maintain this kind of soul power pressure? Can you lend me a hand? Everyone. Interesting, interesting. Bai Baoshan and Ji Lin were truly shocked by these words. Not everyone could withstand the pressure of soul power. Just the rank 67 soul power pressure from the Dream God Machine was even more terrifying than Zhao Wuji's 6th soul skill. This was the soul power pressure from a soul Douluo. 3 seniors? Even Zhao Wuji didn't dare to say this. The 3 seniors looked at each other. Seeing Wang Feng's determined eyes, they were slightly moved. Come and try, the Dream God Machine said in a low voice. Hearing this, Bai Baoshan and Ji Lin didn't hesitate anymore. 2 terrifying soul power presences landed around Wang Feng. Boom! A wave of energy surged from Wang Feng's body. Ning Rongrong and the others couldn't help but circulate their soul power to resist this overflowing pressure. Almost instantly, Wang Feng's entire body emitted countless crackling sounds of bones exploding. Under the terrifying pressure, Wang Feng's body reached its limit. The golden lotus slowly appeared in Wang Feng's palm. The meteoric tear in his body finally surged with a faint energy that flowed through his body. This energy wasn't much, and it wasn't enough to greatly increase his physical strength. However, it could increase his soul power rank. The energy in the meteoric tear was extremely pure. Wang Feng didn't know what this energy was, but it was definitely of a very high level. As the energy flowed through Wang Feng's limbs and bones, Wang Feng exclaimed in satisfaction. He couldn't help but say, "Awesome," as he finished speaking. Suddenly, the entire guest room was dead silent. Damn, why do I feel that this is so familiar? Zhao Wuji was stunned for a moment. After that, he couldn't help but think. At the same time, the other 3 soul Douluo were stunned. Awesome? You can feel awesome now? We are 3 soul Douluo, and we have rank 67 soul power. His soul power has broken through. At this moment, the 3 of them looked at each other. They quickly retracted their soul power pressure and looked at Wang Feng. Under the effect of the golden lotus, the green fog turned into golden light. The golden light covered Wang Feng's body, and it was as if he had an additional layer of golden gauze. It was extremely dazzling. As his soul power flowed, the golden lotus in his palm exuded a faint and gentle aura. Everyone in the guest room felt a wave of warmth. He's close to rank 36. Wang Fengxin was a little excited. This time, he didn't activate much of the meteoric tear. This was because the soul power pressure didn't push his body to its limit. End of chapter. Chapter 193. Although his physique had only improved a little, his soul power had increased. Although his soul power was only close to rank 2, his rank 2 soul power was not inferior to a rank 50 Soul King's rank 2 soul power. Under normal circumstances, he might not even be able to increase his soul power by half a year. The meteoric tear is indeed the meteoric tear. It can improve my physique quickly in the early stages, and the energy that surges out in the later stages can even increase my soul power. Wang Fengxin could not help but exclaim in awe. Without the meteoric tear, It was almost impossible to compress one's soul power. My body has also improved, but it's much less than before. But it's enough. Wang Feng moved slightly, and a crisp sound came from his body. Seeing the curiosity in everyone's eyes, Wang Feng told them the excuse that he had thought of earlier. A few days ago, I consumed a magical herb in the Great Star Do Forest. After consuming it, my soul power increased by more than half. However, because I swallowed it without thinking, I did not completely absorb the medicinal power of the herb. Now that I'm under the pressure of the 3 seniors' soul power, the medicinal power in my body surged out and helped me break through 2 ranks. I'm about to reach rank 36. Thank you, seniors. He had no choice. Breaking through 2 ranks was a little exaggerated. No one would believe it if there was no ghost. That was why Wang Feng said that. He could not tell them about the meteoric tear. That was why he thought of this excuse when he stepped forward. Of course, other than the increase in his soul power, the number of mysterious underworld spikes he could control had increased to almost 500. It was a huge improvement. After hearing Wang Feng's explanation, the 3 soul Douluo were slightly enlightened. No wonder he could break through 2 ranks at such a time. Little Feng often goes to the Great Star Do Forest to fight soul beasts. The Great Star Do Forest is filled with danger and opportunity. This must be his opportunity. Master also stepped forward with a smile. He believed this explanation, because he knew that Wang Feng often went to the Great Star Do Forest alone. Other than that, his physique must be very special, right? Jilin sighed. I've lived for so many years, but I've never seen a rank 34 soul master who can resist a rank 67 soul power. Even soul masters of the same rank can't do that. Genius, 1 in a million. The dream god machine sighed. Qin Ming also stepped forward and smiled. That's why, when I fought him as a soul elder and even used my core soul skill, I felt that I couldn't match up to him just by relying on my physical strength. This is even more inconceivable than those people who are born with divine strength. What's interesting is that he's also an auxiliary type soul master. His auxiliary abilities are the strongest. The 3 soul Douluo burst into laughter when they heard this. Good, good, good. In the future, let's broaden our horizons in the academy. And your other children. After the test, the 3 soul Douluo didn't ask any more questions. He thought that he would have plenty of time in the academy in the future. After all, the Shrek Academy had already given them many surprises, and they needed time to digest them. These 2 children, one more exaggerated than the other. Wang Feng also needed to digest it and stabilize his soul power rank. This time, Wang Feng's soul power pressure had greatly increased his strength. It was not inferior to half a year of bitter cultivation. However, it was a pity that Wang Feng couldn't truly rely on this soul power pressure to improve himself. Firstly, he couldn't find so many excuses, and it would be too easy to arouse suspicion. Secondly, his soul power had to be stabilized by his own cultivation. The energy that surged out from the meteoric tear had increased his soul power rank, but Wang Feng still needed time to stabilize it. So he went all the way to the Great Star Do Forest. No wonder he's so strong, he didn't even tell us. Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng and spoke softly. However, there was a look of admiration in her eyes. Brother Feng is very strong. Tang San's eyes were burning. Brother Feng's abilities had always been a mystery. This was especially so after he returned from the Great Star Do Forest. Now, he could understand a little. He could actually withstand the soul power pressure of a rank 67 soul master. He was more than 20 ranks higher than him. No wonder Brother Feng's physique was so abnormal. He could take on our entire team alone. So Brother Feng went to the Great Star Do Forest. Xiao Wu muttered to herself, but she didn't open her mouth. However, she didn't say anything, afraid that the soul Douluo would turn their attention to her. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Wang Feng's back, and her eyes sparkled. Great Star Do Forest. He's so strong, but why do I feel like he's the same as us? Am I hallucinating? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but think. Oscar and Dai Mubai were also a little emotional. They might not even be able to withstand the soul power pressure of a rank 67 soul master if it was reduced by half. After Wang Feng thanked the 3 soul Douluo, he walked back. He was also feeling very refreshed. However, Wang Feng would remember this favor. After the Grandmaster, Flender, and the others discussed with the 3 soul Douluo, they decided to return to their own courtyards. However, just as they stood up, a loud voice sounded from outside. Is the Dream God Machine's leader here? I, Xuexing, have something to visit you about today. His voice was loud and clear, with a tinge of arrogance. His tone was not very respectful towards the Dream Divine Machine. The Dream God Machine's expression changed. It exchanged a look with the other 2 soul Douluo before quickly walking out of the courtyard. They saw 3 people standing in front of them. The one who spoke was dressed in an incomparably noble and gorgeous robe. He was in high spirits and had a decent appearance. Although he was an old man, he had an arrogant demeanor and an extraordinary aura. With a single glance, one could tell that he was an influential person who had been in a high position for a long time. Beside this elder was the young man who had been kicked away by Wang Feng yesterday. Right now there was a fierce look in his eyes. There was another elder standing to the right of this elder. This is Douluo, right? Wang Feng thought to himself. The poison Douluo Douluo. He was a titled Dalu. He was floating in midair, and didn't step on the ground. Even the 3 soul Douluo didn't sense his arrival. This person's face was a little stiff, just like the Grandmaster. However, he was tall and slender, and stood upright like a bamboo pole. His eyes shone with green light, and they were like crystals. He was very eye-catching. Although he was dressed very casually, and didn't care about his appearance, he was even more imposing than Prince Xuexing. What's the matter, Your Highness? The Dream God Machine looked at the 3 of them and walked forward. He calmed down and asked slowly. There's no hurry. Since you have guests here, why don't you introduce them to me? Prince Xuexing looked at Flender and the others and said. After hearing this, the Dream God Machine's heart skipped a beat. He could roughly guess the purpose of Prince Xuexing's visit. Flender and the others weren't stupid. They roughly knew what was going on when they saw the young man. Prince Xuexing was here to cause trouble. The Dream God Machine's face darkened, and he quickly explained Flender and the others' identities. You brought your students here to teach? After hearing this, Prince Xuexing laughed. With such good conditions, I'm sure these teachers and their students must be extraordinary. However, the 3 of you don't count just because you've tested them. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy represents His Majesty's will and the dignity of the royal family. End of chapter. Chapter 194. You also need to obtain the approval of our royal family. Coincidentally, Mr. Douluo, who is beside me, can be the real examiner for everyone. He can test everyone's strength and talent and see if they are worthy of the generous conditions offered by the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. As long as you can last 5 minutes against Mr. Douluo, I am willing to accept those conditions on behalf of the royal family. Otherwise, get out of the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. The moment he said this, the courtyard became abnormally quiet. Flender and the others were both shocked and furious. Especially Shrek's 7 monsters. How could they tolerate such humiliation? Don't move. This Mr. Douluo is the titled Poison Dalu. Wang Feng held back Dai Mubai and the others so that they wouldn't be hurt for nothing. Titled Douluo? Dai Mubai was stunned. Could it be Douluo? Poison Douluo? They all drew in a breath of cold air. Even though he hadn't seen her personally, he knew that she was a titled Douluo. Could he really be the Poison Douluo? Prince Xuexing, you are too much. Dream Shinji was furious. You say that you represent the royal family. Do you have His Majesty's orders? Dream Shinji, although I don't have His Majesty's orders, I have the right to choose the Academy's personnel, Prince Shuexing said. Cut the crap. Furthermore, one of his students kicked Avalanche. Even if Avalanche was in the wrong, he is still a member of the royal family. How can he be humiliated like this? I have already given them enough face. Dream Shinji was speechless. Mr. Dogu? Sorry to trouble you. Prince Shuexing looked at the green-haired elder and said respectfully. The green-haired elder nodded slightly and walked to the center of the courtyard. 9 soul rings rose from his body. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black. They were extremely dazzling. He really is a titled Douluo. Dai Mubai and the others muttered. The 3 soul Douluo's expressions changed drastically. A titled Douluo was far stronger than a soul Douluo. It seemed like there was only a difference of 1 soul ring, but the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Your body reeks of blood. It seems like you are the famous poison Douluo. Grandmaster's expression was solemn, but his eyes were calm. Flender's expression was even worse. The 7 people behind him were even more unsightly. Dogubo seemed to be surprised that the master had recognized him. He laughed and said, I didn't expect that there would be people who recognize me. Why don't you all show me your strength? As Dogubo's voice sounded, everyone fell silent. At this moment, Little 3, stand in front of Xiao Wu. Wang Feng whispered to Tang San. Tang San was stunned, but he found that Xiao Wu was trembling all over at this time, as if she was trying her best to endure the pain around her. Hearing Wang Feng's words, he hurriedly stepped forward to protect Xiao Wu and blocked the view of others. He thought that Xiao Wu was unable to withstand the poison Douluo's aura, so he didn't think much of it. Wang Feng frowned. If this continued, he might really expose Xiao Wu's identity. Strength? Take a few. Not to mention Flender and the others, even if a few more came, it would be useless. Let's scram. Although the master was furious, he still spoke calmly. Get lost? Get lost just like that? Flender's eyes were bloodshot. Then what about our academy's reputation? Don't tell me you want to let these children get out in such humiliation? What else can we do? Master said coldly. Do you want to fight? Together, can we beat them? Won't we just be wasting our lives? Where there's life, there's hope. Haven't we learned this when we were young? Flender couldn't say anything. Wang Fengxin was also a little angry, and he wasn't the only one. The others felt the same. At this moment, the 3 soul Douluo stepped forward and said coldly, Dogubo, the 3 of us are here to see what you're capable of. Prince Shuexing, remember what happened today. Although you have the right to choose, you didn't listen to the 3 of us. When the time comes, we'll definitely impeach you. After speaking, the 3 soul Douluos stepped forward. They immediately released their martial souls. The Dream Divine Machine's martial soul was a streak of black fog, with 2 yellow, 3 purple, and 2 black. The other 2 soul Douluo's soul rings were the same. Compared to Dogubo, there was a gap from his 5th soul ring. At this moment, the 4 of them faced each other, and the atmosphere was very tense. Prince Shuexing was also stunned. He didn't expect the 3 education committee members to stand up for these people from Shrek Academy. At this moment, he started to regret his decision. However, it was impossible for him to back down now. Seeing this, Shrek and the rest fell silent. Flender was about to speak. Wang Feng, who had been standing at the side, stepped forward first and said plainly, Thank you, seniors, for standing up for us. However, this is Shrek Academy's matter. If we continue to trouble the 3 seniors, we will feel very apologetic in our hearts. His voice wasn't loud, but it echoed throughout the entire place. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Even the Grandmaster didn't know what Wang Feng wanted to do. At this moment, Wang Feng spoke again. We can choose not to join Heaven Do Imperial Academy, but it's impossible for us to leave Shrek. When we came with our heads held high. When we leave, we'll leave with our heads held high. We won't be forced to leave by you." His sonorous and forceful words fell into everyone's ears. Leave is leave. You still want to leave with your head held high? Do you think Heaven Do Imperial Academy is a marketplace? The youth beside Prince Xuexing couldn't help but mock. Who do you think you are? Wang Feng ignored the youth. He walked in front of the 3 Soul Douluo and looked at Douluo Sr. You're a titled Douluo. I'm only at rank 36 this year. I can't even last 5 minutes against you. However, if I may be so bold, I'd like to ask for your guidance. You're a titled Poison Douluo, so you're most proficient in poisons. However, if I can survive your poison, or if I can survive another one of your attacks, then, can you let our Shrek Academy leave Heaven Do Imperial Academy with our heads held high? After he finished speaking, Wang Feng looked at the Poison Douluo with a burning gaze. The air fell into an incomparable silence. Everyone's eyes fell on this young man. Shock, horror, and ridicule appeared on everyone's faces. The 3 Soul Douluo looked at Wang Feng in disbelief. They couldn't believe that a 13-year-old child would dare to say such words. Everyone from Shrek Academy was even more astonished as they watched on. Grandmaster Flender and the others were also in disbelief. However, after hearing Wang Feng's words, the blood in their hearts that had been dormant for many years seemed to be ignited again. Shrek's 7 monsters behind them felt their scalps go numb. Their blood surged through their bodies. Other than Xiao Wu, who was in a very bad state, everyone looked at Wang Feng with burning eyes. The backbone of our Shrek Academy can't be bent by anyone. Wang Feng turned around to look at the Soul Douluo and the others. His words seemed to have ignited their blood. Wang Feng. Ning Rongrong looked at him. Her heart was filled with passion. She couldn't wait to step forward. Brother Feng is right. The backbone of our Shrek Academy can't be bent by anyone. Tang San looked coldly at Prince Xuexing. Even if we have to leave, we have to walk with our heads held high. Zhu Zhuqing's face turned red. She took a deep breath and looked at Wang Feng. She was silent, but the excitement in her eyes betrayed her. Oscar, Dai Mubai, and Ma Hongjuan's blood rushed to their heads. Their faces turned red. Douluo was also stunned. After hearing this, he laughed. He seemed to be disdainful, but he also seemed to be a little surprised. After that, he nodded slightly and said, "Sure. However, 1 move isn't enough. At least 2 moves." Okay. There's more tonight. End of chapter. Chapter 195. At least 2 moves. Alright. This short answer, without any hesitation, came almost a second after Douluo had finished speaking. After saying that, even Douluo was stunned again. This was the most miraculous thing he had seen since becoming a titled Douluo. A rank 36 soul elder wanted to ask for guidance from a titled Douluo? Not only did he not die from his poison, but he also wanted to survive 2 moves from Douluo? Just so that the Shrek Academy could walk out of the Heaven Do Academy with their heads held high. Of course, the so-called raising one's head and sticking out one's chest was not just a superficial meaning. It was also a form of dignity. Our Shrek Academy wasn't chased away by you. We wanted to leave on our own accord. The difference was more than 10 million. I'll give you a few minutes. None of the teachers behind you can take a single drop of my Jade Qilin Snake Emperor's poison. Douluo looked at Wang Feng with admiration, but also pity. Flender and the others' faces turned black, but they couldn't refute him. Prince Xuexing opened his mouth. He wanted to say something, but decided against it. A rank 36 soul elder couldn't take the Jade Qilin Snake Emperor's poison, let alone take 2 moves from Douluo. You want to walk out of the Heaven Do Academy with your head held high? Dream on. After hearing Wang Feng's words, the young man at the side laughed and looked at Wang Feng mockingly. He couldn't understand how such a foolish youth could dare to ask for guidance from a titled Doulu. He even made such an impossible request. He's a good kid. The dream Shinji sighed. Just by saying that Shrek Academy's spine cannot be bent, who knows how many students from our academy will surpass them. Regardless of the outcome, just this point alone is something that those nobles cannot compare to. It's a pity that he was rejected by Prince Xue Xing. Ji Lin said angrily. How foolish! This kid is so young, but he has such strength of character. No wonder the Shrek Academy can nurture such a monstrous genius. I wonder when our Heaven Do Academy will have a student like him. Bai Baoshan shook his head and sighed. The three of them didn't think much about the result. There was no way that a rank 36 Soul Elder could withstand 2 attacks from a titled Douluo, and there was no way that he could withstand the poison Douluo's poison. A premature death was inevitable. However, his unyielding character was admirable and praiseworthy. Dai Young? Wang Fengxin thought to himself, although it was because of the extreme anger in his heart that he stood up and said those words. However, Wang Fengxin naturally had his own plans. Wang Feng didn't think too much about it. He took a deep breath, and the golden lotus on his palm blossomed. A deep purple soul ring revolved around the golden lotus. Deification. Wang Feng growled, and one of the golden lotus petals surrounded by lightning shattered into strands of golden light, landing on Wang Feng's body. Using deification, Wang Feng's entire body was instantly filled with lightning. His entire body shone with golden light as if a celestial being had descended into the world, emitting a brilliant radiance. "Senior, please," Wang Feng said calmly as he withdrew his golden lotus. The reason why he didn't release all of his soul rings was because Prince Xue Xing and the young man were present. These two people had ulterior motives. Once he released them, they would cause a lot of trouble for him if they spread rumors. The people from the Shrek Academy were all trustworthy. The 3 Soul Douluo were also respected seniors. However, he had to be wary of these two people. They weren't surprised that he had a 1,000-year soul ring. As a soul elder, a genius would naturally have a purple 1,000-year soul ring. Apart from the people from the Shrek Academy, everyone else thought that this was Wang Feng's 3rd soul ring. However, they didn't know that Wang Feng's different forms of green lotuses had their own soul rings. He could control his soul rings individually to confuse his enemies. Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor. Seeing this, Douluo didn't hesitate. Although it was a little strange that his opponent didn't release all of his soul rings, who didn't have secrets. If he didn't release all of his soul rings, he couldn't blame anyone if he died. A huge jade-green snake suddenly appeared behind Douluo. A strong stench spread from the martial soul to the surroundings. Its green body breathed in and out a purple mist as if it could devour life. "Go!" Douluo snorted coldly. The Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor directly spat out an extremely dense poisonous fog at Wang Feng. Douluo clearly controlled it very well. The poisonous fog only sprayed towards Wang Feng. The others had already dispersed and weren't affected at all. However, the extremely dense stench made the girls from the Shrek Academy feel like vomiting. It was extremely uncomfortable. Just by smelling it, one would feel dizzy. Even Flender and the others had to circulate their soul power to resist the poison brought about by this smell. What a terrifying poison! Zhao Wuji's face turned green. "Tang San, can you detoxify this poison?" Tang San looked at the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor's poison solemnly. Compared to Douluo's Jade Unicorn Purple poison from the Imperial Battle Team, this poison was much more potent. Douluo's Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor's poison was simply on the level of a grandfather. They couldn't be compared at all. Furthermore, the poison was related to one's cultivation. With Douluo's strength, even a Soul Douluo wouldn't be able to resist this Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor's poison. Looking at Wang Feng, who was shrouded in the poisonous fog, their faces turned pale. "Wang Feng, Ning Rongrong's face was deathly pale. She was very excited and hot-blooded just now, but when she really made a move, she saw Wang Feng wrapped in the poisonous fog. Her heart clenched tightly. It can be detoxified, but it will take time. It's just that I don't know if Brother Feng can hold on. With this poison, a rank 36 soul elder won't even be able to hold on for a second or two before turning into a pool of blood. Tang San was very straightforward. If it was only Duguyan's poison, with Brother Feng's strength, even if he took it head-on, he would be able to hold on for a long time. But Dugubo was different. Obviously, he didn't hold back and didn't care if you were a junior or not. He was the poison Douluo, and he was ruthless to begin with. Why would he care about this? Hearing Tang San's words, the others couldn't help but want to turn their heads away. They couldn't bear to watch anymore. Flender wanted to stop them, but he was stopped by the master. Xiao Gang. Flender said agitatedly, Wang Feng is right, I know. But even if I don't want the backbone of the Shrek Academy, I can't let a child bear all this. If you make a move now, it's equivalent to letting Xiao Feng bear all this for nothing. The master glanced at him indifferently. I'm also worried, but at this time, waiting for the results is the only thing we can do. Have some confidence in him. Flender sighed dejectedly. He hated that he wasn't a titled Dalu. He should have turned into a pile of dregs, right? The youth curled his lips. Prince Xuexing frowned and didn't say anything. He only glared at Avalanche. Sometimes, he had to admit that the quality and character this child displayed was many times better than Avalanche's. Chapter 196. Unfortunately, their statuses were different. Since they were on the opposite side, he wouldn't show any mercy. There were many geniuses on the continent. So what if two of them died? Everyone watched attentively. After a full 30 seconds, Dugubo seemed to think it was about time. Even a rank 70 soul sage would die from the poison in 30 seconds. But just as Dugubo withdrew the poison mist, a familiar voice suddenly sounded. Senior, it seems that this junior can still withstand your poison. This voice was like a thunderclap. It resounded in everyone's ears. The poison mist dissipated. The golden figure was still standing in the same place. His posture was like a javelin, full of shock. His tones seemed to be trembling, and his face was slightly green, but it was not a big deal. He didn't die from the poison, nor did he turn into a pool of blood. Wang Feng was still standing in the same place. Everyone was stunned. Only Tang San and Zhu Zhuqing watched with flickering eyes. Sure enough, it's the deified soul skill, the effect of immunity to poison. Tang San muttered. The deified soul skill obtained a new effect when Wang Feng upgraded his first soul ring from 6,000 years to 8,000 years, and that was poison immunity. The first time it was used was when Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing fought against Tang San and Xiao Wu. But at that time, only Tang San felt that Zhu Zhuqing, who was supported by the deified soul skill, was immune to the poison of his blue-silver grass. After that, he didn't test it again. Because soul masters who came into contact with poison were very rare. Brother Feng usually didn't participate in their team battles. Occasionally, a few people would use the deified soul skill to experience the feeling of flying. The effect of being immune to poison was not surprising. But what shocked Tang San was that the deified soul skill was only the first soul skill, a 1,000-year soul skill. Even if it was immune to poison, how could it be completely immune to the Jade Kirin Snake Emperor poison used by a titled Dalu? However, when Tang San saw Wang Feng's face turn slightly green, he realized. Brother Feng was poisoned, but it was very weak. He was mostly immune to the deified soul skill. Therefore, it was not a big deal at all. The effect of a soul skill is generally proportional to the soul master's rank. Big Brother Feng is only rank 36, but this soul skill can make him immune to poison. It's the bane of all poison-type soul masters on the continent. Tang San thought to himself. Zhu Zhuqing was the first to experience a deified soul skill, and the worry in her eyes finally lessened a little. At this moment, as Dogu Bo's poison mist was absorbed back into his body, everyone looked at Wang Feng in a daze. Even Dogu Bo stared at Wang Feng. A hint of curiosity appeared on his stiff face. No wonder you dared to stand out and ask me for advice. So your soul skill is immune to poison. But for the next 2 moves, I won't show any mercy. He naturally had a good eye for things. His opponent had used his first soul skill, and he was still in this state. Evidently, it was a soul skill that allowed him to be immune to poison. It had to be said that the poison Douluo was still somewhat of a nemesis. However, Dogu Bo was still astonished. The soul skill of a rank 36 soul elder was actually immune to the poison of a titled Dalu. Even though it was just the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor's poison that didn't have any soul skills, it was still extremely powerful. But it was still abnormal enough. After knowing that this kid had a soul skill that allowed him to be immune to poison, Dogu Bo didn't have any intention of using other soul skills. Most of his soul skills were related to poison. Since this kid was immune to poison, he could only use force. However, Wang Feng laughed in his heart as he looked at Dogu Bo. Although Dogu Bo had a terrifying poison martial soul like the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor, he was known as the weakest titled Dalu. It was undeniable that his ability to fight against a group was the strongest among titled Dalu. However, his overall ability or individual ability was very weak. Everything is within my expectations. Wang Feng took a deep breath. Dogu Bo was a control type titled Dalu. Once poison didn't work, the strength that he could unleash would be greatly reduced. This was because he didn't have many offensive abilities. Wang Feng remembered that Dogu Bo's 8th and 9th soul skills combined could destroy an entire city. The most important thing was the poison. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to do it. Furthermore, he couldn't use it in Heaven Do Imperial Academy. At this moment, a green light flashed across Dogu Bo's eyes. His killing intent was so condensed that it seemed to materialize as he attacked Wang Feng. Since poison didn't work, then he would use force. The killing intent of a titled Dalu. He, Dogu Bo, had killed countless people over the years. Against these low-ranked soul cultivators, a wave of killing intent was enough to directly kill them. This killing intent was similar to soul power suppression, but it wasn't completely. It was like the suppression of a superior to a subordinate. Sometimes, when he glared at you, you would feel a chill in your heart. Even rank 40 to 50 soul masters couldn't withstand the killing intent of a titled Dalu. They would be scared to death. Those who were slightly better would be severely injured. The formless killing intent was like a sharp arrow that landed on Wang Feng's body. Wang Feng groaned. His entire body shook, and he immediately closed his eyes. This killing intent was too strong, and it made one's heart palpitate. However, when it entered his consciousness, in his sea of consciousness, the black lotus silently bloomed and absorbed this killing intent. The other part was absorbed by the mysterious human-shaped martial soul that suddenly appeared. After the black lotus absorbed this killing intent, it blossomed with a dazzling light in Wang Feng's sea of consciousness, causing Wang Feng to seem to be covered in a layer of black light. Then, this killing intent was instantly converted into the purest energy. Charging complete. After the mysterious human-shaped martial soul absorbed it, it became more condensed. It seemed that it wasn't far from awakening. Wang Feng suddenly opened his eyes. A black light flashed across his eyes. He laughed loudly. "Thank you, Senior, for this second move." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire crowd was stunned. Dogu Yen was also stunned. After all, her killing intent didn't kill this rank 36 youth. He actually thanked her? This time, even the people from the Shrek Academy were completely stunned. Although they knew what form Wang Feng's martial soul had now, They only knew that there were 3 different forms of soul skills. They didn't know about the Golden Lotus's soul power increase, the Red Lotus karmic fire, the Black Lotus's absorption of various tyrannical auras, and so on. Especially the Black Lotus, even a master didn't know. They only knew that it was a defense-type soul skill. Therefore, at this moment, they couldn't understand why Wang Feng was able to withstand Douluo's condensed killing intent. However, they were extremely shocked. Because Wang Feng didn't suffer any injuries. Wang Feng felt great. Although Douluo's murderous aura was much weaker than the Titan giant ape's furious aura, it was enough for him to charge his Black Lotus and slowly provide it for his cultivation. Moreover, that mysterious human-shaped martial soul seemed to like to absorb this kind of aura. It became clearer and clearer, and it would probably awaken soon. However, Wang Feng's words of gratitude angered Douluo. Chapter 197. However, Wang Feng was not afraid. Poison was useless, and neither was killing intent. What else could he be here for? Douluo's soul skills were mostly area of effect attacks, so he couldn't use them. This was also the reason why Wang Feng had stepped forward. Unless he used his martial soul true body to control the Jade Unicorn Serpent Emperor and severely injure him in close combat. However, he was a titled Dalu. Why would he use his martial soul true body against a rank 36 junior? There will also be soul bones. Wang Feng felt that it was impossible. But right at this moment, Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor, martial soul true body. In the next moment, Douluo let out a low roar, and his black soul ring lit up. The Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor behind him suddenly opened its huge, malevolent mouth. A huge amount of energy was emitted from Douluo's body. 7 soul rings immediately lit up, and Douluo instantly transformed into a huge, jade-green snake that was at least 30 meters long. Wang Feng had underestimated Douluo's ruthlessness. Everyone was shocked. They had never expected Douluo to use his martial soul true body. There was no other way. Douluo saw that Wang Feng was immune to his poison and could even withstand his killing intent without suffering any damage. Why should he thank him? He was a little angry. A level 36 junior was thanking him? Are you mocking me, Douluo? Therefore, he no longer hesitated and immediately unleashed his martial soul true body. He transformed into the Jade Unicorn Snake Emperor and circled around the courtyard. It was emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Immediately after, Douluo swung his snake tail over. Most of his soul skills were area of effect attack. He was smart enough to know that he couldn't use those soul skills in the academy. Furthermore, he was a control-type soul master, so his body wasn't as strong as Tang San's, and he didn't cultivate the mysterious heaven technique or anything of the sort. Douluo's physique was relatively weak. He wasn't much better than those rank 70 or 80 assault-type beast martial soul masters. However, things were different once his martial soul true body was unleashed. Even a soul sage who was over rank 70 would die if he tried to take the blow with his physical body. This young man was only a class 36 soul exalt. That was enough to kill him several times over. Holy shit, are you serious? Wang Feng was truly shocked. Douluo, did you not care about your status at all? Cold sweat was dripping down Wang Fengxin's forehead. The sword Douluo was a man who cared about his own status, so he wouldn't bicker with a junior like Tang Wulin. However, Douluo was extremely vicious and merciless. As expected of the poison Douluo, he decided to use force when poison didn't work. He didn't have the slightest intention of being polite. The snake's tail, which was as thick as a water bucket, swept towards Wang Feng. A strong gust of wind blew, causing the surrounding trees to rustle and sway. Those with lower cultivations were even blown backwards. Flender and the others stared blankly at this moment, unable to do anything to stop it. However, after Wang Feng was frightened, He heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the tail attack. Although Douluo didn't care about status, it was fortunate that he didn't have a clear understanding of himself. This tail is very strong, but I can resist it even if I don't use my black lotus to use my thorny lotus. Furthermore, she was only a control type titled Douluo, and not a true assault type. That was what he thought. Boom! The huge tail swept towards Wang Feng's body. At the instant of contact, a terrifying force rippled out from Wang Feng's chest. Pfft! Wang Feng's face turned red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body glided across the ground as if he was walking in space, and crashed into a large tree at the edge of the courtyard. Boom! This tree seemed to be unable to withstand the force of Wang Feng's crash, and it collapsed to the ground with a loud crack. That tail also seemed to be affected by the huge force, and it bounced back, causing Douluo's expression to change drastically. When it came into contact with Wang Feng's chest, he felt a terrifying force that wasn't inferior to his own transmitted through the snake's tail. It even weakened his martial soul true body. It was very strange. However, Wang Feng didn't collapse. He was like a roly-poly toy as he swayed on the spot a few times. Countless pairs of eyes stared at Wang Feng's body. Their gazes followed Wang Feng's swaying as they stared at him. When they saw that Wang Feng had finally stopped swaying, the entire place suddenly quieted down. He didn't die. Wang Feng didn't collapse. He forced himself to stand and stuttered, "Senior, you're indeed very powerful. Senior is indeed powerful. This junior is ashamed of his inferiority. I barely managed to withstand that attack. However, this junior did not die. Now I have one, right?" Blood flowed out from his mouth, but his voice was still very clear. After he finished speaking, he used his sleeve to wipe the blood from his mouth, and it splattered on the ground, forming a flower of blood. Douluo's expression was extremely gloomy as he looked at this young man in front of him. He finally understood why this young man dared to ask for his guidance, and why he dared to withstand two of his attacks. Although he didn't use his full strength in his second attack, and he wasn't an assault type titled Douluo who specialized in offense, the strength of his tail was definitely not small. It wasn't something a soul exalt of the 36 stratagems could resist. However, he was a little uncomfortable from the force of the tail's rebound, and he was also a little weak. This young man wasn't simple. He wasn't simple at all. Douluo snorted coldly and withdrew his martial soul true body. He walked back to Prince Xuexing's side. At this moment, Ning Rongrong and the others hurriedly rushed over to Wang Feng and helped him up. "Seniors, thank you for standing up for us today." Wang Feng looked at Mengxinji and the others, who were already in a daze, and revealed a smile on his pale face. "However, I think we can leave the Heaven Do Academy with our heads held high, and not be chased away by threats." After he finished speaking, Wang Feng fainted, as if his life was at stake. When they heard this, Shrek and the others felt sour in their hearts. What did this name represent? It meant that the Shrek Academy's spine was straight, and they would walk out of the Heaven Do Academy with their heads held high. "Seniors, I didn't expect to cause you so much trouble today. I'll take my leave now. Flender will visit you again in the future." Flender sighed at Mengxinji and the others, and carried Wang Feng on his back. He didn't want to stay any longer and said, "Child, let's go." Flender's last sentence was extremely loud and clear. Prince Xuexing and the young man's faces were pale, and they couldn't say anything. They could only watch as the group of people walked out of the Heaven Do Academy. When they walked past Prince Xuexing and the young man, they raised their heads and puffed out their chests proudly. On the contrary, the two of them were like generals who had lost a battle. They didn't even dare to raise their heads. "Prince Xuexing." Mengxinji looked coldly at the prince. "If His Majesty finds out that you caused the Heaven Do Academy to lose such a talented soul master, I wonder how he'll punish you? You're only at rank 36, and you're able to withstand two of the poison Douluo's attacks, and you're immune to his poison. Prince Shuexing, this might be the stupidest thing you've ever done in your life. Chapter 198. Jilin also stepped forward and said. The other chubby Bai Baoshan laughed with a mocking look on his face. Humph, so what if he's a genius soul master? He's not going to live. Prince Shuexing said stubbornly. Wang Feng did not look like he was going to live. Meng Shenji and the other two turned around and returned to the hall. Grandfather! A beautiful figure appeared in the distance and jumped into Douluo's arms. What happened just now? Where's the Shrek Academy? And Tang San, the one who cured my aquamarine purple poison. Did you see him? She was Douluo, the control-type soul master of the Imperial battle team. As she spoke, Douluo whispered a few words into Douluo's ear. Not long after, Douluo raised his head with a gloomy expression and looked at Tang San and Wang Feng in the distance. Grandfather, why do you look so pale? Douluo asked softly. There was a huge commotion just now. Did you do it? Grandpa, did you hurt them? You mustn't harm their lives, ah. At most, you can teach them a lesson. Douluo's mouth twitched. Damn it, I wanted to kill him, but I didn't succeed. However, he doesn't look like he's going to live for long. He didn't die on the spot, but he's going to die soon at this moment. Qin Ming, who had been watching from the side, walked out. He looked at the three teachers and said, Seniors, I'm sorry. Thank you for your support over the past few years. However, I think I'll have to leave the Heaven Do Academy. Hearing this, Meng Shenji and the other two teachers turned to look at Qin Ming in shock. Even Prince Shuexing was stunned. Qin Ming's status in the Heaven Do Academy was second only to the three teachers. The reason was simple. He had the chance to become a titled Douluo before the age of 60. Qin Ming's status was very special because of this. A future titled Douluo? Are you afraid? Prince Shuexing was filled with regret. Given the strength and implications that Wang Feng had displayed, even if he did not know what had happened in the guest hall. However, he could feel it. Wang Feng's potential was even more terrifying than Qin Ming's. Although he might not be alive now. But now, even Qin Ming was leaving. She was a future titled Douluo. Teacher Qin, Prince Shuexing will receive the punishment he deserved. Please reconsider. The dream god machine hurriedly walked over and tried to persuade him to stay. Qin Ming shook his head and sighed. That kid called Wang Feng said it well. The backbone of Shrek Academy can't be bent. He would rather die than be bent, but I think, if I continue to stay in this academy, my spine will never be able to straighten up. Thank you seniors for taking care of me all these years. It's time for Qin Ming to leave. Today there's Shrek Academy, and tomorrow there might be Slime Academy as well. I can't stand it, and I don't want to see such a situation again. I don't want to stay in an academy that can't even stand straight. This is my bottom line. As he spoke, Qin Ming turned around and left, and he didn't turn back to take another look. As Qin Ming left, Prince Shuexing's heart turned cold. He left with the young man, who had already lost his mind. Uncle, will His Majesty really blame you tomorrow? The young man asked in a trembling voice. Yes. Not only that, even your fight for the throne will be difficult. Prince Shuexing muttered, Avalanche, I originally wanted to help you weaken the strength of those three teachers. Otherwise, when the Shrek Academy joins in, you won't have any chance. But I didn't expect that one person would break the situation and use such a method to ruin it. I can only say that it's fate. Fortunately, that youth won't live for long. Prince Shuexing let out a long sigh. In the courtyard. What happened just now? Douluo asked curiously. Douluo naturally wouldn't say it. Such a shameful thing, if he said it out loud, he would be laughed at, let alone in front of his granddaughter. He was only thinking in his heart, how did that youth from the Shrek Academy reflect such a terrifying power? That tail swing could even kill a rank 60 or 70 soul master in one move, and he only used one soul skill. But in the situation just now, that kid should be on his last breath. I really don't know where this monster came from. There must be something strange about his chest. Douluo thought to himself, and that guy called Tang San, if I have the chance I'll catch him and take a look. After Flender and the others brought Wang Feng down from the Heaven Do Academy, they were very quiet. But they couldn't hide the excitement and agitation on their faces. Wang Feng, nothing can happen to you. There were tears in Ning Rongrong's eyes. She looked at Wang Feng, who was gasping for breath and seemed to be on his last breath. The rest of the people remained silent. Brother Feng should be fine. Xiao Wu patted her chest. Her face was still a little pale. Brother Feng had attracted everyone's attention just now, including that titled Doulu. Otherwise, she might have been discovered. Zhu Zhuqing grabbed Wang Feng's sleeve slightly, then released it and pursed her lip. He'll be fine. Tang San held Wang Feng's hands and frowned. Strange, Brother Feng's body doesn't seem to be very seriously injured. But why does it seem like he's going to die? Tang San was slightly proficient in the art of poison. He also knew a little about the art of medicine. If I hadn't used my martial soul true body, that tail would have killed me, Zhao Wuji said. I didn't expect little Feng to be able to survive. But, however, it was obvious that Wang Feng was on his last breath. Flender carried Wang Feng on his back and didn't say anything. Wang Feng collapsed after they walked a little further. He quickly carried Wang Feng out of the Heaven Do Academy's territory. Dean, wait. Why can't I feel Brother Feng's breathing? Ning Rongrong, who had been by Flender's side, cried out. Everyone stopped in their tracks and looked at Wang Feng when they heard that. At this moment, Wang Feng suddenly opened his eyes and jumped off Flender's back. He then rubbed his chest and frowned. It hurts. Saying that, Wang Feng used his golden lotus and cast a healing effect on himself. Not long after, his face slowly became rosy. But they rubbed their chests in different ways. Everyone was speechless. Everyone was stunned. Brother Feng, you're fine? Xiao Wu stammered. What's going on? Wasn't Big Brother Feng on his last breath just now? What can happen to me? Wang Feng said angrily. I would have recovered from that attack. I just didn't want to show it in Douluo's range. If he knew about that tail attack, he wouldn't be able to take it lying down if I wasn't injured. To be honest, if that tail had hit Wang Feng's head or lower limbs, Wang Feng would have been seriously injured and passed out. Unfortunately, it had hit the Xianming armor. The Xianming armor was too strong. The sword Douluo couldn't even hurt him when he kicked him without using his soul power. Right now, Huoyu Hao's rank had increased once again. If Douluo wanted to use his mysterious underworld armor to kill Huoyu Hao with his tail, he would be looking down on Huoyu Hao's current physique and his 30,000-year external soul bone. Chapter 199. Although he was slightly injured, it wasn't a big deal. That mouthful of blood was really spat out. However, when he was swept back, he used his own strength to break the tree that was broken. It gave everyone the illusion that he was about to die. Everyone was speechless. Only the Grandmaster looked at Wang Feng. He seemed to know something. The Grandmaster knew Wang Feng's identity, and guessed that there was something mysterious in Wang Feng's chest. He even guessed that it was an external soul bone, but he didn't say anything. Back at the Shrek Academy, when Tang San lost his mind because he couldn't control the 8 spider spears, Wang Feng used his soul power to mediate. The Grandmaster had already guessed something. Only a soul master with an external soul bone could do this. You made us worry for nothing. Ning Rongrong stared at Wang Feng in a daze. She was so angry that she stomped her feet. She was so anxious that she wanted to go back to her family and ask Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu to chop the poison Douluo into pieces. I should be more careful. Wang Feng coughed. He was able to fully recharge his Black Lotus and strengthen his human martial soul in this fight with Douluo. Evidently, he had gained a lot. Of course, the most important thing was that he couldn't lose his backbone. He had to have the backbone of the Shrek Academy. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that Wang Feng was fine. At this moment, a figure suddenly sped up and appeared in front of everyone. Dean Grandmaster, I didn't protect you well this time. I even caused Junior's death. Please punish me. Lin Feng, are you alright? It was Qin Ming. At this moment, he was stunned when he saw Wang Feng jump down from Flender's back. He's fine? Just now, when he saw Wang Feng on the verge of collapse and barely hanging on with his last breath, Qin Ming's heart was filled with shock, shame, and self-blame. But now, why does he seem so lively? Cough cough, senior, let's not talk about me first. Why did you come down? Wang Feng hurriedly changed the topic. Qin Ming quickly reacted and said in a deep voice, Dean, I'm leaving the Heaven Do Academy. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Qin Ming, what are you doing? Flender helped Qin Ming up and said with a sigh, This time, you've already done well enough. We were the ones who implicated you, so why do you have to do this? Qin Ming shook his head. It's Junior Brother's words. It's like a blow to the head that woke me up. Even though I've graduated from Shrek Academy, I can't possibly forget your teachings. I don't know when I'll face such a situation again if I continue to stay in Heaven Do Academy. What would I do if I were in your shoes? I think I'll do the same thing as Junior. I won't stay in the Heaven Do Academy any longer. I'd rather reopen the Shrek Academy with you all than be a teacher with no dignity or backbone. Qin Ming's words caused everyone to fall silent. They did not expect this senior to be such a courageous person. However, being able to walk out of the Shrek Academy was indeed different. Alright, I'll take you to Heaven Do City first. Find a place to rest. Thus, everyone followed Qin Ming to Heaven Do City. Heaven Do City was much larger than any city Wang Feng had seen before. This could be seen from the teams of fully armed soldiers on the city walls. They passed through the 10-meter-tall city gates and entered Heaven Do City. The city gates gave Wang Feng the illusion that he had returned to ancient times. It was like entering the Forbidden City. There was a main gate and 2 secondary gates. The main gate was tightly shut and did not open. The group passed through the secondary gate, and before they had even taken a few steps, they saw a huge announcement posted on the city wall. Blue Tyrant Advanced Soul Master Academy is recruiting 10 soul ancestors above rank 40. Those with higher soul power will have priority. Once recruited, the treatment will be better. Seeing this notice, Wang Feng felt a little emotional. Blue Tyrant Academy, looks like it's you. Even though this chicken is not as majestic as the one in Heaven Do Academy, it's still comfortable. Flender and the others stopped when they saw this announcement. Qin Ming immediately said, Blue Tyrant Academy. The Blue Tyrant Advanced Soul Academy eliminated one of the 2 teams from the Heaven Do Imperial Academy during the qualifiers for the last Continental Advanced Soul Master Tournament in the Heaven Do Empire. However, all the students from that batch have graduated. This batch of Heaven Do Academy students has a strong team like the Imperial Do Battle Team. I don't think we have a chance this time. However, this academy is much smaller. It's a commoner academy and doesn't recruit students from noble families. However, this academy's teaching is rigorous and they don't lack funds. Furthermore, they're still able to establish themselves in Heaven Do City even though they don't recruit students from noble families. This shows that their background is not simple. At this moment, Qin Ming had just finished speaking when Wang Feng clapped his hands and said, Isn't that great? Since they don't have a chance this time, then we'll join them. Won't we become their opportunity? Flender's eyes flashed with a cold light. That's right. If little Feng hadn't stood up today, we would all have been kicked out of Heaven Do Imperial Academy. We have to let those nobles know that Shrek Academy is not to be trifled with. Hearing this, Tang San and the others suddenly erupted with an aura. This aura caused Flender and the others to be slightly moved. This was a cohesive force. Qin Ming glanced at them and praised in his heart. A monster captain from the Shrek Academy has really given Shrek Academy a soul. That phrase, "the spine of Shrek Academy cannot be bent," is really a soulful quote. In the future, it might even become Shrek Academy's motto. Thinking of this, Qin Ming rejoiced at his decision. Even the children were incomparably supportive. Other than Flender, the rest of the teachers naturally had no objections. This Blue Tyrant Academy is not bad, but we'll only know after we go there. Grandmaster was as steady as ever. Perhaps it can't compare to Heaven Do Academy, but as Little Feng said, the environment can't limit the brilliance of the 7 children. Perhaps their growth will be faster in this Blue Tyrant Academy than in Heaven Do Academy. Wang Feng nodded slightly. Grandmaster was right. Although Heaven Do Academy was good and had good conditions, its internal structure was too chaotic and the factions were too clear. It was easy to offend people and even attract trouble. Although Soul Masters weren't afraid of trouble, if they were constantly entangled with trouble, it would definitely affect their cultivation. On the contrary, if they chose a slightly inferior place, it would be better for them. What was the saying? It was better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix, although they could be considered the head of a phoenix in Heaven Do Academy. Chapter 200. After their discussion, they decided to go to the Blue Tyrant Advanced Soul Academy. The prosperity of Heaven Do City was beyond Wang Feng's imagination. It was just like the first time he went to the capital, Shanghai. He felt that his surroundings were very novel. There were many shops on the street and there were almost no peddlers. The whole street was clean and bright, orderly and grand. Not long after, the group arrived outside the Blue Tyrant Academy under Qin Ming's lead. Wang Feng gazed at the academy. It seemed to have been built in the middle of a forest. There were lush trees all around, but it was still lacking compared to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Although it was not as bad as the Blue Tyrant Academy, it was still very easy to achieve this in Heaven Do City. Lu Erlong. Wang Feng looked at Grandmaster. If nothing went wrong, Grandmaster would meet his true love in this academy. This was also the reason why Grandmaster had been avoiding it. Thinking of this, Wang Feng shook his head. In a way, Grandmaster was quite pitiful as for why at this time, the receptionist of the Blue Tyrant Academy led Qin Ming, Tang San, and the others directly into the academy. Wang Feng followed. The process was very fast. "Brother, this Blue Tyrant Academy looks pretty good." Xiao Wu pulled Tang San's hand. "Yes." Tang San nodded. He felt that in this kind of place, his cultivation speed was also very fast. He was surrounded by lush trees. "But I still miss our small village." Oscar said with a smile. There were many memories in that small village. "In a few years you might miss this place too," Wang Feng said. The group sighed. "Wang Feng, I'm hungry. Can you and Oscar make a few flaming sausages to eat?" Ning Rongrong walked in front of Wang Feng and said in a soft and sweet voice. The eyes of the others lit up. The taste of the flaming sausages was far better than Oscar's sausages. They hadn't eaten yet. After hearing Ning Rongrong's words, Tang San and the others couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. "Eat, eat, eat." Wang Feng glared at Ning Rongrong. "You're almost as fat as a pig. You only know how to eat. I'm still the injured, okay?" After saying that, Wang Feng took a few steps forward and took a few steps forward. "Everyone." Ning Rongrong was so angry that her lips trembled. She looked at Xiao Wu and couldn't help but ask, "Xiao Wu, am I heavy?" He didn't even hug her. "Judging from your appearance, how could you be a little pig?" Xiao Wu giggled. "Big Brother Feng is joking. How could there be a pig as beautiful as you?" Ning Rongrong froze. "Xiao Wu, Do you even know how to talk? Indeed. Among the pigs, there is no one as beautiful as you, Rongrong. Zhu Zhuqing also nodded, which was rare. The others immediately burst into laughter. Not long after, the group of people arrived at a large hall within the academy. As they walked in, several teachers led by Flender, including Qin Ming, were already conversing with the 3 examiners from the Blue Tyrant Academy. However, it was clear that the Blue Tyrant Academy's teachers were much weaker than the Heaven Do Academies. When Qin Ming, Flender, and the other teachers released their soul rings, Wang Feng could clearly see the stiff and shocked expressions on the teachers' faces. Moreover, with these teachers, Wang Feng and the other students didn't need to be tested. How could such powerful teachers teach weak students? However, due to the fact that Flender and the other teachers' ranks were too high, they couldn't determine their ranks and treatment. They could only bring the group to the Dean of the Blue Tyrant Academy. Who is this Dean of the Blue Tyrant Academy? Xiao Wu asked curiously on the way. They followed the teacher called Inshu out of the academy's main campus and walked towards the outer forest area. A dean who wasn't in the main campus was an oddity. Therefore, Xiao Wu was naturally curious. I don't know, but he should be very powerful. I feel that this academy is not simple. Tang San said. Blue Tyrant Academy sounds like the abbreviation for Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, Wang Feng said. If I have to guess, I guess he's a Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon expert, right? Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. Wang Feng's guess was very reasonable. It was actually very easy to guess. Anyone who was slightly familiar with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon would be able to guess. Wang Feng naturally knew about it. Not long after, the group arrived at a quiet area. There were lush trees all around. In front of them was a small lake, and not far away there was a small wooden house. It seemed that it was quite an otherworldly place, untainted by the dust of the world. Before they got close, a song entered everyone's ears. This song was full of bitterness and euphemism, like a wife who had been separated for many years and missed her husband day and night. It was gentle and moving as it slowly sounded. Hearing this song, everyone couldn't help but stop. Wang Feng looked ahead. Grandmaster's body was trembling and Flender's face was also full of tears. This would only happen when meeting an old friend who hadn't seen for many years. It seemed that there was no deviation. It must be Lu Erlong. Wang Feng sighed softly. Grandmaster's experience was actually very similar to the experience of those useless male leads. He was born with a trash martial soul and was looked down upon by everyone in the clan, but he was favored by the goddess. Unfortunately, the only difference was that Grandmaster didn't have a cheat. He had worked hard for the past few decades. His soul power couldn't increase, so he could only study various theoretical knowledge. But in this continent where martial souls were the most important, he still couldn't rise. Without real strength, he didn't even have the courage to break through the shackles of the secular world. He could only choose to escape. Grandmaster's body trembled. Obviously, he was struggling in his heart at this time. He was in pain and almost wanted to turn around and leave. But he was caught by Flender. The children are all here. Xiao Gang, do you still want to escape like this? Flender whispered, if you do this, the children will look down on you. It's been decades. It's time for you to face her. Lin Feng, you're not even afraid of a titled Doulu. Are you afraid of meeting a woman? Grandmaster. Tang San behind them looked at each other. They also heard the meaning of these words. They also saw the movements of the two clearly. After a moment of silence, Grandmaster took a deep breath and walked forward. Soon, everyone saw the owner of the small wooden house. It was a beautiful woman who looked to be in her 30s. Time didn't leave too many traces on her face. Although she was wearing a simple green dress, she was still charming. Her fair face was a little pale, but her facial features were still exquisite. Her figure was a mature woman, but when she saw Flender and the others, she was also stunned. Everyone saw her figure flash and appear in front of them. They couldn't help but be shocked by this woman's strength. Then, Wang Feng listened to them talk about the past. Grandmaster was silent at the side. Wow, this beautiful big sister seems to have a different relationship with Grandmaster? Xiao Wu muttered behind them. Could it be that the master has abandoned her? Ning Rongrong also guessed nosily. After all, Lu Erlong directly ran over and shouted Grandmaster's name. Wang Feng glared at Ning Rongrong. A woman's intuition was really accurate. End of chapter. Chapter 201. Not long after listening to the three people reminiscing about the past, they also understood the woman's identity, one of the golden iron triangle, Lu Erlong. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but stick out her tongue. So she's the dean and Grandmaster's companion. No wonder. But I feel that her gaze is mostly on Grandmaster. Grandmaster must have abandoned her. This big sister is so beautiful and strong. How could Grandmaster do such a thing? Tang San quickly frowned and coughed a few times. Rongrong, let's not talk about teachers. Ning Rongrong refused. Girls were naturally gossipy. Only when Wang Feng narrowed his eyes and glared at her did Ning Rongrong obediently shut her mouth. Although the others were curious, they didn't talk too much. After a while, Flender and the others seemed to have finished talking with Lu Erlong. Lu Erlong then looked at Shrek's group and said, "Children, from now on, treat Lanba Academy as your home. No, from now on, this will also be Shrek Academy. Your dean has already told me everything, so I know everything. We've always only recruited commoners, so we're not strong. But don't worry, the Academy's facilities are perfect, and we even have a simulated cultivation environment. Wait until next year's Advanced Soul Master Tournament. I'll take you to beat up Tian-Do Imperial Academy, and let them know that Shrek is not to be trifled with." These words were a bit rough, and didn't sound like something a woman would say. Everyone except Wang Feng was shocked. They didn't expect this beautiful woman to have a temper that wasn't too good. Wang Feng thought to himself, if it weren't for me, Lu Erlong would be the person Shrek's 7 monsters would be most afraid of. After the introduction, Lu Erlong brought everyone to the Academy's cafeteria and ate a sumptuous meal. After eating, Grandmaster called Little Three and walked out. Lu Erlong acted as if she didn't see anything and quietly finished her meal. Then she suddenly walked in front of Wang Feng and laughed. "You're Wang Feng, right?" Wang Feng was stunned. "Why are you looking for me? Shouldn't you be chasing after her?" "Lu Laosher, I am Wang Feng." Wang Feng hurriedly stood up and nodded. Lu Erlong looked at Wang Feng, then at the other students. Nodding, she said, "I know about all of you, and about you, Captain Freak. Boss Fu has always praised you. Come here, I have some questions I want to ask you about Grandmaster." It turned out that he wanted to ask about the master. Wang Feng followed behind Lu Erlong. The two of them walked towards the forest. "I heard that master has been in a small town called Nodding Academy all these years? You and his disciple, Tang San, have known each other for a long time?" Lu Erlong asked in a low voice. Wang Feng nodded and said, "Yes. About 7 years ago, Little San and I met the Great Master. The Great Master treats Little San as his own child. I often visit the Great Master. Master hasn't had a good time all these years. However, he still has you in his heart. 6 years ago, I saw a woman's photo in the Master's room. He treasured it in his room." Hearing this, Lu Erlong's body trembled. "Really?" Lu Erlong took a deep breath. "Of course not." Wang Fengxin thought to himself. However, he knew that Lu Erlong wanted to know more about the Great Master. At the same time, she could regain her confidence and face the Great Master. The Great Master must be struggling. There wasn't much to say about the relationship between the two of them. Apart from the fact that the Great Master's martial soul was mutated and he was very weak, the most important thing was that they were cousins. If it was in his previous life, Cousins would be together in the German orthopedics department. However, whether it was the Star Empire or the Heaven Do Empire, there was no clear law that stated that close relatives couldn't marry. Therefore, it didn't matter. She just had to bear the criticism of the world. Even the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon family couldn't interfere with Lu Erlong. At most, they would be expelled from the family. After seeing you, I was sure that the woman in the photo was you. Wang Feng sighed. So, the Great Master has you in his heart. Although he didn't tell us the story between the two of you, I'm sure it has something to do with Dean Flender. Just now, I saw the guilt in your eyes towards the Dean. You even let him inherit the Blue Tyrant Academy. I'm sure it's compensation in your heart? Hearing this, Lu Erlong suddenly turned around and looked at Wang Feng. She laughed softly. It seems that Boss Fu was right. Child, you're extraordinarily smart. Smart my ass, I've read the original book. Otherwise, who would know that there was such a melodramatic relationship between the two of you? Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Let's go and find the Great Master. At the same time, I'll tell you the story between the three of us. Moreover, you're all Shrek students. I'll be your teacher in the future. I can't hide this from you, Lu Erlong said slowly. Soon, Wang Feng listened quietly as Lu Erlong briefly explained the situation of the three people. It wasn't much different from what Wang Feng thought. The Great Master was a standard useless male lead. If it was in the continent where fighting turned into horses, the Great Master would be Xiao Yan and Lu Erlong would be Xiao Sun. Unfortunately, there was no Yao Lao. Say, I'm a girl and I don't care. Why does he keep avoiding me? Lu Erlong whispered. That's why the Great Master isn't as good as you, Wang Feng said. Lu Erlong. Wang Feng sighed softly. Teacher Lu, how about this? Let's change our identities. If your mutated martial soul is trash and you're not beautiful, you're despised by everyone in the clan and can't break through rank 30. In this world, you're a girl who can't even compare to a normal soul master. What about the Great Master? He's handsome and has many outstanding girls chasing after him. He's born with a powerful mutated martial soul and can be expected to become a titled Douluo in the future. At this time, you two are in love. He loves you very much and wants to be with you regardless of everything. Can you accept him at this time? Hearing this, Lu Erlong was stunned. She had never thought of such a simple change of perspective. She wouldn't think about such things. She just felt that she didn't care about other things when she was with the person she loved. She didn't care about other things. That's right. But when she heard Wang Feng's words, the two of them changed their situation. Can I accept him? Lu Erlong felt a little frightened. If that was really the case, Lu Erlong felt a little scared. She felt that she couldn't accept it. Teacher Lu, you hesitated and couldn't answer. This means that you can't choose. You don't even have the courage to accept such an outstanding person. Wang Feng shrugged. In his previous life there was a phrase called matching families. This was true. You want to break through many things and be with the person you love, but how can it be so easy? End of this chapter. Chapter 202. A bystander might think that this was nothing. What was there to be afraid of? However, only those who were in the situation and experienced the pain would know how difficult it was to make a choice. For example, if you were chosen by a rich and beautiful woman, you were just a poor boy. However, this rich and beautiful woman had all kinds of conditions that you could never hope to obtain even if you worked hard for several lifetimes. If you didn't love her and didn't have a conscience, you might be able to live off her. However, if you really loved her, the huge gap between the two of you would make you realize the reality and leave, running away. Lu Laoshi, think about it. How much courage do you need to be with him? Wang Feng said. Lu Erlong was silent for a long time. In the end, she smiled bitterly and said, I understand. Child, thank you. I'm in the situation, but I can't see it as clearly as you. Since you can understand, then go and find Master. As long as you can understand each other, being together is just a matter of time. Wang Feng pointed at the two figures in the forest. Lu Erlong took a deep breath and walked over with a smile on her face. There was no gap between the two of them. They definitely loved each other in their hearts. It was just that it was hard for them to understand each other. After a while, Tang San also walked over. When he saw Wang Feng, he was silent for a moment. Brother Feng, you're here too? It seems that you also know about the matter between Master and Lu Laoshi? Wang Feng nodded. It's hard to imagine that there's such a relationship between the three of them. Tang San's tone was a little sad. He was an adult. Naturally, he felt complicated about this kind of relationship, especially when he thought of Xiao Wu. What's wrong? You think of Xiao Wu? Wang Feng suddenly asked. Tang San, Brother Feng, are you a roundworm in my stomach? Do you really think of her as your biological sister? Wang Feng asked again. Of course. Tang San said in a deep voice, I will always protect her. What if she gets married? Her husband will protect her. What does it have to do with you? Wang Feng continued. Tang San was a little flustered. He suddenly thought of what if the matter between Lu Laoshi and Master happened to him and Xiao Wu? You persuaded Master just now. You said it with conviction. But when it happens to you, don't you think it's very difficult? Wang Feng grinned. I saw the Master and Tang San together just now. He must be the Master that Tang San persuaded. Now that Lu Laoshi and the Master were hugging, it seemed like they had reconciled. Tang San was a little ashamed and at a loss, but he still said, I've always treated Xiao Wu as my sister. No, you like her and she likes you. I'm talking about the love between lovers. Wang Feng's simple and straightforward words pierced Tang San's heart like a sharp arrow. But Tang San opened his mouth and found that he didn't know how to refute Wang Feng. TSK, do you want to follow in the footsteps of the Master? You are Tang San. Wang Feng smiled. You are not a master. Tang San was stunned. He thought to himself, yes, I'm Tang San, the genius of the Tang sect. I like Xiao Wu. I will never follow in the footsteps of the great master. Thinking of this, Tang San looked at Wang Feng and nodded heavily. Wang Feng shook his head. Xiao San was a muddle-headed boy in his previous life. He probably hasn't even touched a woman's hand, so he doesn't know much about relationship. Wait, I don't think I've touched a woman either. I don't think I have the right to call Xiao San a mistress. But that doesn't stop me from talking about him. Wang Feng coughed a few times and didn't say anything. Just then, a cold and gloomy aura suddenly appeared in front of them. Tang San was shocked. He took a few steps back and looked at the person in front of him. Green hair and green eyes. The cold gaze in those eyes was like that of a poisonous snake, making people tremble. Apart from that, there was also shock in his eyes. Tang San knew why the other party was shocked. Because the other party was the poisoned Douluo. He was shocked that Brother Feng was still alive. Brother Feng, run! Tang San shouted. Run my ass! Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Good boy, you're still alive. Douluo looked at Wang Feng with shock and anger in his eyes. I've been fooled. This kid definitely wasn't seriously injured back then. He looked like he was on his last breath. This kid must have been pretending. Damn it, is he really a kid in his teens? You've been trying to hunt a wild goose, but you've been pecked in the eye by the wild goose. Douluo sneered. I say, senior, we've settled this matter. Wang Feng said casually, why? Are you angry that I lied to you back then? What do you think? Douluo sneered. Hey senior, who do you think I did that for? Wang Feng sighed and said, isn't it because I wanted to give you face? Douluo was speechless. He was stunned. Then, he heard the kid continue. Think about it. If I didn't pretend to be on my last breath and was fine, what would the people in the world of soul masters think? They would say, Aya, that Douluo is trash. A titled Douluo who activated his martial soul true body couldn't hurt a rank 36 soul elder? No wonder he's the worst titled Dalu. Douluo was speechless. Tang San sucked in a breath of cold air. He couldn't move at all. Brother Feng is too bold. How dare he say such things? Wang Feng said with a smile, but if I was dying, I wouldn't say such things. Otherwise, your poison Douluo name would have been ruined in the world of soul masters, right? The corner of Douluo's mouth twitched. Hearing you say that, I have to thank you? Of course. Douluo was so angry that he laughed. What the little brat said made some sense. However, the next moment, Douluo came in front of them. Tang San fainted right away. He didn't even have the chance to activate his martial soul. After that, Douluo lifted Wang Feng with one hand and instantly disappeared from the forest. Wang Feng didn't intend to resist because he knew that Douluo was bringing them to a place. He just wanted to take a look, the treasure land in the Douluo world. Icefire Yin Yang well. Did Lin Feng really say that to you? At this moment, Master and Lu Erlong were still hugging each other. Yes, that child is very smart. So, I can understand you now. Lu Erlong chuckled. She told the Grandmaster what Wang Feng had said to her. It's hard to imagine that this was said by a 13-year-old child. Master felt a little sour. All these years, he had been avoiding it, but who could understand him? Little Three's words made sense, but what Lin Feng said to Lu Erlong was also heartfelt. Right at this moment, Lu Erlong suddenly raised her head and looked in a direction. Who is it? Master was startled and quickly asked, What's wrong? Lu Erlong didn't say anything and quickly brought Master to where Wang Feng and Tang San were. This aura, Master's expression changed. Erlong, quick, go find Flender. The two children must have been taken away. With his judgment, he could roughly guess who might have been here just now. He could even take away the two children quickly without Lu Erlong noticing. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.